Isolation weather.
Great looking fall skies across St. Louis as we go through our Wednesday afternoon. Sunshine in control. It's breezy this afternoon. 64 tonight. Clear skies. 50s this evening. Chilly. 43 for the overnight low. Thursday, sunny and 66. Increasing clouds Friday in the 50s to near 60. Kind of wet Friday night, Saturday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Byrne.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Fred was yelling at me. He didn't think I was ready for the show, and mainly because I was looking for my chair that everyone steals. I need the flat, what do you call those things? Armrests, right? The flat armrest chair. How is everybody today on this Wednesday? Outside of Fred being worried about me being ready, are we doing okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Click this button over here because Ethan didn't do his job, so I'm trying to do Ethan's job for him today as well. He's shaking his head.
It's too early to start passing the blame.
Yeah, but that happens sometimes. Ethan, can you crank those blinds up for me? Usually I get into the studio like 45 seconds earlier. That's the difference.
That's about right.
Yeah, it is about right,
Yeah.
right? Than I usually do, and I need the blinds open. We like to see the sunshine and the leaves changing and the drug addicts who are passed out across the street. This is all part of our daily existence here at Odyssey St. Louis. But here we are on a Wednesday. Sue actually had to ask that question as she walked in. I wasn't completely sure. We never really are. The middle of the week
it's
seems
a weird thing.
very confusing, right?
Yeah.
But we do have, tomorrow's going to be our birthday party. So we're very excited about that because none of us will be here tomorrow. Fred, you'll be here because you have to come in for a little
Fred.
while,
Oh,
right?
no,
You're
You're
gonna be
coming
at the
out,
party.
aren't you?
I'll be out there.
No,
for the
I
party.
understand that, but you're
Oh,
going to be
okay.
like the rest of us won't even. Well, Ethan, you might be here in the building too. All right, and everything I just said,
Yeah.
ignore. Sue and I won't be here at all. We're going to go right to the party.
Ethan and I have real work to do, and then we'll come.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
a shot. There's a shot across the
It's
bow
totally
right
fair,
there.
though. Totally
But
fair.
we will be live broadcast tomorrow from 3 to 6 p.m. from the Lit Cigar Lounge in the district in Chesterfield. That is like you get off at Boone's Crossing right there. You'll see the factory. It's kind of between the factory and
Oh, okay.
what's that that thing where the kids play out there? What's that
a
thing
field?
called?
I don't know.
Now, maybe I'm thinking of a different. It's like one of those climbing deals that they go
Oh,
to. Maybe
all right.
like
I
the
don't
fun
know.
zone. I think I'm getting this wrong anyway, so just ignore what I said. Is there something like that out there? Yeah, by Top Golf and all that. Right. You know, we do have microphones in the studio, Ethan. You can always jump on one of those and use
got
it.
me potted up?
Yes, I do,
Yeah.
actually.
It's called, I think, The Edge or something like that.
Something
It's
like
out
that.
there by Top Golf, though.
Yeah.
It's in that whole district.
Okay,
yes,
I'm not
you're
imagining
off.
things. Thank you very much. So we do need, apparently we need an RSVP, which if you go to 971talk.com, there's a little link on there, and we're going to have all kinds of guests. Mark Cox is going to kind of co-host the show with me. Annie will be there. John Beck, who is the general manager of 97.1 when all this started 25 years ago. We have a couple of politicians like Congressman Bob Onder will swing by, former Senator Lamping, who lives not too far from Chesterfield out
Oh,
in
that's
the
good.
Augusta Defiance area, and we'll Fred, what are we doing on the show itself tomorrow? Have we made that decision
That was pretty
yet?
much it. That was it.
Oh,
We're interviewing.
so we're
all
just
these
having.
people.
So you're just basically putting names down, and they're coming in, and we're celebrating. We're thinking
Well,
about
it's
the
probably
past.
more than that, but
Okay.
yeah, that's the end result.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
everybody's come out to talk about the importance of KFTK to the area in their lives, that sort of thing.
That's
All right.
nice.
Well, we hope to see the audience out there. We
Can-
always like to meet and greet.
Can I quickly just share this comment from Russell on the YouTube channel?
You can.
It says, Ethan Chair, Ethan Diet Coke, Ethan Blinds, Ethan Blanket. Says I need more than just one award.
You know, that guy is dialed in, though.
Right.
He is dialed into the realities of this radio show. But I didn't ask for the blanket because for some reason the temperature is like 10 degrees warmer than it has been.
I know, but here's the bad news. They think it's broken, and they're going to fix it, which means we're going to be back to blanket land, I predict, by Friday.
Yeah, Brett says, the HVAC system's broken. Sue and I are like, good, leave it that way,
love
right? We can take this temperature. Boy, it is starting to feel a little chilly, though, out there, like in the mornings
Yeah,
and the
it is.
evenings.
Oh yeah.
I kind of
You
like
guys,
that.
it's going to be 38 tonight.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. That's what I said on KZK.
Okay, well, let's check our weather app.
That's where
it's
I
my
got
Dave
it,
Murray
was
app.
my
I'm going to
weather
check
app.
my Dave Murray app here, and it's going to tell me 38 sounds significantly cold. I will tell you that.
Overnight.
Becky's been popping on the. Well, no, I understand that, but oh yeah, holy cow, 37 the next. So yeah, we're in the 30s the next 2 nights.
Yes.
That's significant, and then a high of only like low 60s, and maybe a high on Sunday of only 58. So fall is here officially. I think we can say. I see no numbers as I look at my Dave Murray Weather Channel app that says temperatures that start with a 7 in the next 2 weeks.
I know.
So,
I don't see that either. We just turned down the heat this morning.
Yeah, we've been turning it off, and then Becky popped it on this morning because I think it was a little chilly in the house. Okay, speaking of houses, I want to talk about the White House today, and I want to talk about the East Wing renovation. It is. I talked about this yesterday. It is unreal to me how the left's heads are exploding about this. If there's ever been a strong verification, confirmation that TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, runs rampant in this country at a fever pitch and is in strong need of a vaccine that works better than COVID, this is it. Because I mentioned this yesterday. I'm chilling across Facebook, and you got people out, and these are traditional lefties that are doing this. It's usually people I know that I know are left-wingers or former news people at KMOX, which is the same thing, a bunch of left-wingers. Let's just put it that way. And they're putting this picture up there of the White House that is being destroyed. Look at what he's doing. This is symbolic to what Trump's doing to the country. Well, first of all, it's not happening to the White House. Yeah. Okay, so let's be clear here. I can't do this on the radio with the map, but let's say that we're facing the White House, right? To the left, way over to the left, they have the West Wing. That didn't used to be there either, okay? That was created at one point. I don't have all the dates in front of me, but we can certainly get them. Remember the show was called The West Wing, right? So that's way over there on the left side. On the right side, let's see, what direction would that be? It's the opposite of west. I can't remember. Can you guys help me out? East, that's it. The east side has a room that was torn down yesterday. Had nothing to do. The images that you're seeing out there, the White House is fine. The White House is not going to change. By the way, the White House has changed over the years, too. Truman gutted it.
Good grief, we had a bowling alley at one point.
Yes. So Obama puts in a basketball court. That's fine. But this is different because it's Trump and because the images, and I'll be honest with you, when you see, where the cranes have kind of wrecked that building, it looks rather stark. But if you don't know what you're looking at, right, the Washington Post puts this picture up there yesterday to scare the hell out of people, and everyone reacts on Facebook. Look what he's doing. So I don't do this, and I said this yesterday. I had to engage with people on Facebook because you lefties are being so dumb on this one. Is this the hill you want to die on? The guy is paying for this either out of his own pocket or with donations. There's no tax money that's going to this. Over the course of the history of this country, the White House has been changed on numerous occasions. And this is what I said to my friend Rod Lurie yesterday, who's a movie director in Hollywood. I always liked Rod, but I've known where his politics are. I said, okay, just for a moment, let's take a step back, just for a second, okay? And let's say that this is maybe something that needs to be done. Maybe a little upgrade to a room that's used for state dinners where we don't have enough room, and maybe we'd like to have a ballroom that's a little bigger for events that we have in state dinners, because this is kind of old and outdated. So why don't we get some contributions and some donations together, and hey, I'll write a check out of my own pocket, mainly because the legacy media keeps writing me checks for what they've done to me over the last 10 years, and we'll have a beautiful ballroom. No, we can't do that. It eclipses the size of the White House. It's 90,000 square feet. I don't care. In the end, I can promise this is going to happen. When this thing is done, okay, when we're done building this thing in 3 years, how long it's going to take, they're going to be oh, this is beautiful. I can't believe how stunning this is. Look what it. I mean, they won't want to say that, but believe me, that will be the reaction. Yes.
And they will wait until the next president is in office to say, oh, that's a nice room.
It's just, it's lunacy what's going on here. And I've said this half jokingly, but so many people need freaking help. Man, you need serious help. If this is what you're obsessed about, what Trump's doing, and you think this is some symbolic thing to the destruction that he's doing, it's the end of democracy. You still got J.B. Pritzker out there talking about Nazis and the Holocaust. You're insane. Regular, normal people in this country don't think the way you do. They are not obsessed with this guy in the White House because he hasn't affected their lives negatively. He's affected their lives positively. They have more money in their bank account. Everyone's taxes would go up starting January 1st if they didn't extend the tax cuts. Gas is pretty cheap right now. If you filled up your tank, the stock market, I looked at my accounts here a short time ago, up again. Inflation is down. Eggs are affordable. The Middle East peace deal was accomplished. We're talking. We're trying to get something done between Ukraine and Putin. And you had a guy that previously was in the White House that I swear to God, his former communications director, Karine Jean-Pierre, who's got a book that's number 124,000, I'm not even joking about that, on the bestseller list, like way down. It sold about 10 copies. She's out there saying, well, this president communicated with the American people twice a week on a regular basis. The hell he did. He barely communicated with the American people one-on-one twice a month.
Oh.
And that is not an exaggeration.
Not at all.
And she didn't do regular briefings. She did briefings. She didn't do as many as Carolyn and give the media access. So it's a bunch of nonsense. The no king stuff, all of this. I'm more sick. I don't think I've been this annoyed with people on the left since Mask Up with COVID, because that was dumb. And by the way, these are the same people. I guarantee the same people that were all worried about wearing a mask are the ones that are going on Facebook saying, oh, this is the destruction of democracy. How dare he do this? So here's Joe Scarborough acting like an idiot.
It's hard to believe that any president could destroy the White House.
You can't help but wonder if he didn't wait until these protests were already done before today he started literally physically tearing down the White House.
Previously said that the ballroom's construction would not affect the existing building here. Clearly not the case.
It is the case. It is. They keep lying about this. It's unbelievable. Have you seen one media source that's in like an overhead shot? I've seen some tweets. They show exactly what's happening. They give you a very good perspective of what the East Wing looks like and what the West Wing looks like. And there's this big building in the middle. What's that thing called? Oh, yeah, the White House.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not affected at all right now. Here's Carolyn.
The White House is going to have a big, beautiful ballroom for generations of Americans to come. And the best part of it all, it's not a dime of the taxpayers' money.
Oh, but he didn't seek permission. He didn't go through the process. We don't know that. You don't know what he did and didn't do. You have all these people that are out there saying one thing, and they're clearly people that have an axe to grind. You know, I was thinking about this yesterday, too. Remember all the economists? Weren't there 50 of them that signed on in the spring to say the tariffs were so terrible? We'd be in a recession right now, right? Like right now, we're in a recession. That's what they predicted. The experts, the people that were in the know, who are always wrong, by the way, always wrong. Same people who were wrong about COVID. So here's Selena Zeno putting this into great perspective for us.
Jackie Kennedy did a beautiful restoration of the White House, and in her long-term plan was to put in a ballroom. Unfortunately, as we know, the president died while he was in office, and she was never able to fulfill that dream. But the media attention when she did it, and I don't have a problem with it, was that she gave a White House tour. I'm old enough to remember it, and she won an Emmy for it.
Don't you remember seeing the video of this? Fred,
Yes.
you were old enough to watch it live. She was given a live tour of the White House.
And I think the larger problem within, not just within my profession, but also just with people that are, as I said, clutching their pearls, is they don't have historical context. And I think that's really, really important.
Yeah,
Almost
it is.
every president has done some sort of restoration. And it's not as though President Trump is going to take home the White House when he leaves. This is something that is everlasting until it needs a renovation.
I think what we need to do at this point is just start putting some money together and betting on November. And here's what I mean. You had Jimmy Kimmel freak out last month. It's Jimmy Kimmel, freedom of speech. Trump is ruining democracy. This month, it's the White House renovations. What's next? Let's put a pool together and take some guesses.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this afternoon, there was an accident eastbound 70 at 270 in the right lane. So a little bit of volume through there. We've got westbound 64 lining up Kings Highway out through McCausland. And we've got an accident now. Oh, yeah. They're saying it's really close to Clayton Skinker. So expect a jam that goes back through Kings Highway. And southbound 170 already slow, headed for 64. Mostly moderate volume along southbound 270, but it is paged down through Gravois. And out west, 70 isn't bad. We had a little bit of volume at K, but 64 is lined up at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. And there is an accident reported on westbound 44 past Laclede Station Road and some volume through there. 55 is slowing at Bates, but we look great if you're headed into Illinois. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror, Glass, and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror, glass, and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror, Glass, and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I really have been meaning to suggest this. The 55 is slowing down by Bates drinking game. Every time Sue says that, you take a drink, you're not going to be very, alive by the end of the show. I promise you that. They're never going to get that done, ever. They'll have the White House renovations done before that.
Probably.
Brian Kilmeade's coming up in a couple of minutes. Football season in full swing. You got the NBA kicking off. There's hockey. And Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action right now. And it's really easy. I want you to download the app, okay, and then sign up. You got a username. You are going to get a promo code here to get some bonus credits or bonus entries. All right, so hang on. I have details on that, but maybe you've never done anything like this before. You get the app, you go up there, you look at the games that are in play, and you just choose whether your players are going to go higher or lower on stats, rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. If it's the World Series, it's strikeouts and hits and home runs, etc. You get your entries right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Now, here's the bonus funds or bonus entries offer that I have for you. You download the Underdog app. You sign up with the promo code MarkR. That will get you $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, the promo code is MarkR. Underdog, make plays, win money, must be 18 plus in President, Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS _.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
In a world of cookie-cutter health plans, the Pauley Agency is proud to represent coverage that's tailor-made to fit your needs. The Pauley Agency put the sure in insurance. For a free quote, call the Pauley Agency at 636-222-2149.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Dad, that's what Grandpa Rip always said.
That's right. 50 years ago, Grandpa started Grasser. And whenever a customer called, he'd smile and say, "Hey, it's good to see you."
Hey, it's good to see you.
It was his way of treating people like neighbors, not numbers. That's why we still say it today.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hey, it's good to see you.
When you enter a place of business, you're owed a legal duty, that the place of business is safe for you to shop in. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you suffered an injury at a place of business, our duty is to protect you after that harm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.com.
Hey, it's Tom Ackerman. Where do you go for your annual eye health examination? Ophthalmology Associates, of course. Doctors Greg Birdie and Ranjan Malhotra. Dr. Robert Bersati, he's the one I saw, or Dr. Andrew Royer. They are available to you and are there to take care of all your vision needs at Ophthalmology Associates. They're on Manchester Road, a half mile west of 270. Your vision is their business at Ophthalmology Associates. In fact, many of their patients are doctors themselves. That's why they call themselves the doctors, Ophthalmology Associates. Are your eyes itchy and scratchy? It could be more than just allergies. They're the leaders in dry eye diagnosis and treatment. They're the leaders in LASIK and discussing those procedures. And if you're having difficulty reading or driving at night, you have glare from oncoming headlights, could be early signs of cataracts, and they can talk to you about multifocal lens implants. Ophthalmology Associates, youridoc.com.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
There's one more thing on my rant here because I had a friend who was texting me yesterday about the White House renovations, and my response is pretty simple and consistent on this. This is a legacy media that didn't cover the border. They lied over and over again about COVID, not to mention about the investigations into President Trump. They protected Biden at every turn. They protected him. They never paid any attention to the DEI or this trans nonsense. So my response was, and this is kind of how I feel on a lot of this stuff, I have zero Fs to give anymore. I really do. Because what happened during the Biden administration was ridiculous. And now all these brains are exploding because he's renovating and putting in a ballroom that's going to be used probably for the rest of American history, and it's going to look great.
Without
and he's not even,
taxpayer
and the
money.
taxpayers aren't even. Unbelievable. Brian Kilmeade back with us this afternoon. I'm guessing you've talked about the White House renovation story just a little bit on television and the radio. How are you?
Oh, yeah. But if you look at I remember, as you research Truman, and I remember succinctly in David McCullough's book, when Truman goes to move into the White House, the whole place is falling apart. He's got to spend most of his first term in the Blair House. And they got the whole thing, and there's pictures available. It was literally down to the studs. So,
yeah.
I guess he might have gone to Congress. I know he wasn't big into fundraising. He was not rich. And so he probably went to Congress, but they just had no choice. The place was actually dangerous. So instead of getting to that point, Teddy Roosevelt put in the West Wing, and FDR, the whole thing covering up the pool and the basketball court. There's always improvements. Well, Trump's the best builder we've ever had. He wants to put a ballroom in. I also love the anecdote that he called Axelrod when he was a businessman and said, it's embarrassing that the White House doesn't have a ballroom, that you got to put up tents. I'll do it. And Axelrod regrets not taking him up on that.
That's
so
interesting.
Now he's in it.
Yeah.
He had 4 years and comes back 4 years later. I'm doing these things. I'm fixing it. And I will probably not get into that ballroom. I mean, I think they can get it done in 4 years, I imagine. But he said, probably I might not be able to use that. But I'm looking to fix this place up. At the same time, he really respects the legacy of it.
But, Brian, you're a far more important and busier person than me, so I don't think you've wasted your time seeing some of the nonsense on social media. But the way that some of these people's heads are exploding over this is really unbelievable. I mean, I can't, and I don't know what's next, because they need their heads to explode about something related to him. And I mentioned in the previous segment, last month it was Jimmy Kimmel and, all that. So this month it's this. I don't know what's coming up in November. But the Trump derangement syndrome symptoms, they're going up. They're skyrocketing. They're not going down like COVID.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, there's one thing I would notice. There's less Republicans, like George Will, for example, and Bill Kristol. There's less Republicans that just can't stand Trump. Some of them, like Jeb Bush, has gone quiet, and he points out different things he likes. The big thing in the first term, there were so many Republicans that had a problem with him. And then there was so many of his own staff had a problem with him, that they work against him to save the country, air quotes. And then, you had people in the Senate and House that didn't like him. But now the Senate is really united. Even Rand Paul doesn't vote for anything. He's not an enemy of Trump. So that's one thing is different. And I do think that they've expanded the number of people in the media. Like, you should apply. You should go there one day. I'm sure you could get in there. And the fact that he's expanded, he doesn't have a bunch of people following him around just screaming horrible things. So I think that has improved. That's one thing is better. But for the most part, you got to just figure it. That whatever this president's ratings are, it's with 89 to 94% of the stories about him negative.
Which is maybe an underestimate based on what we've seen.
Right.
So what, this whole No Kings thing, I keep seeing pictures of people going to that. That didn't manifest in anything. They're all older white people that are guilty about being white and that hate Trump. That's who was protesting last weekend.
Listen, Mark, the president did have a great election, right? He wins a popular vote, and he wins the Electoral College. It's farcical that nobody tells Kamala that it's not the closest one in the last century. I can't believe you keep saying that. But there was the 60 million people that didn't vote for us, 65 million people didn't vote for him. So if you tell me a few million across our country in a preordained way, many of which were getting paid, would show up. And, okay, I mean, Bernie Sanders and AOC get big crowds. There's not one of those people. They know they're looking at two people that will never get elected in our country. But it doesn't mean you can't get big crowds at one point. So congratulations, but what is the message? No kings. He's not a king. Did you see he got stopped from putting the National Guard in Portland? That's not what a king does. You think a government would be shut down if the king had the power to run a country?
It's a great point.
The government shut down. My goodness, are you crazy? So the fundamental reason that you're out there is dumb.
So what are you hearing now on the shutdown? I think last week when we spoke, you were even saying, look, this thing might go into, Thanksgiving time, and I think it might at this point. But, the edge that they seem to think that they have on this healthcare issue doesn't seem to be manifesting itself with the American public. And I think Republicans are in no position right now. Look, Senator Thune's being very clear, and other Democrats or other Republicans are saying, look, we will have discussions about these issues. We got to open up the government first, and then let's do it.
And if you give in now and you do negotiate, that's what's going to happen all the time with Democrats. They're going to say, I don't have the power, I don't have the majority, but since you need my 6 votes in the Senate, my 5 votes now in the Senate, I'm going to hold out for, let me see, roll the dice, health care. It's never going to be defense spending. That's what the Republicans would do because they care about that for some reason. Democrats never have. But if you think about it, if I'm Republicans, I would go, yeah, that Obamacare that not one Republican voted for that we've been trying to repeal, and now you like? Well, it's unaffordable. It's unsustainable unless we come up with more money to keep it afloat. And the money that we came up for was during the pandemic, and it all was expiring. That's how Biden passed it. So we have to now be a holdout and locked out and shut down our government because you put together a health care plan on a pure party vote that's unsustainable, that business model was not working, that the deductibles are too high and the premiums are going to grow. And when the premiums get too high, they want taxpayers to supplement it. All for Barack Obama's health care plan that Nancy Pelosi jammed down our throats on a simple majority vote, and we have to pass it to find out what's in it. Well, Nancy, it's been 10 years. We found out what's in it, and it doesn't work.
Well,
now, it's not a quick fix.
Yeah.
I don't have the perfect health care program. Mark, you don't, but it's going to take intelligent people sitting down with all ends of the business. They want to vilify insurance companies. Let's see the evidence. You want to vilify doctors? Let's see the evidence. Hospitals? I don't know. I'd like to see this. We go round and around in this. We want to keep free market principles involved in the medical profession and give everyone the same health care, regardless of your income. I haven't seen that model yet, but I still think our system's the best. But it definitely cannot be fixed on a continuing resolution deal.
So did you see, I haven't addressed this, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later, the Amy Klobuchar tweet about the early retirees seeing their health insurance premiums go up nearly 3. Oh, this is awesome. So she tweets this out a couple of days ago. Early retirees like Bill and Shelley will see their health insurance premiums increase nearly 300% from $442 to $1,700 per month. Here's the problem. This is a couple that retired in their 50s early. They don't work. They make $136 a year off pension and IRA savings, and they want taxpayers to give them a $15,000 a year handout. They're like the poster child. They're the poster child for revoking the tax. Or the Republicans should be putting them up there as the poster child. But Amy Klobuchar thinks that that's going to play on the hearts of the American people.
Yeah, that's great research on your part. I haven't heard that. But what they tell me, and I've talked to people off camera, they say, Brian, there's people with a combined income of $300,000 that are getting supplements from the pandemic.
Yes.
Because their money had stopped, I guess. That was the theory. They weren't working. One job wasn't paying them. Well, now that's the case. That's why it evaporates. That's why it's sunset. The other thing, they say it's 400, and you can be eligible for these subsidies, pandemic subsidies. Pandemic's over. If you're 400% above the poverty line, please tell me how that makes sense. That was never the intent with Medicaid and Medicare.
No, it makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. Hey, I'm short on time. You got anything planned for Sunday night show yet?
Yeah, it looks like Senator Cassidy is going to be joining me, and I want to drill down on the healthcare part of this because, as you know, he voted for president to be impeached, but now him and the president are in good terms. He just left the White House. I want an intelligent, like the one we're having, an intelligent conversation on, let's say, when we get the government open, what we're going to do about healthcare, because I do know there's good people listening to us right now that are going to be affected, and I'd like to find out a healthy way, an American way to help them. Not an Obama subsidy. We're going to get you towards single payer plan to do it. I'm also going to have Brett Baer on, and we're going to who is the other senator? Oh, Senator Dave McCormick is also going to be with us, and Jimmy Fallon.
Awesome. Have a great week, Brian. We'll talk next week.
Go get him.
All right.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We had a couple of accidents out there, and if you are leaving the office, we still have a jam on westbound 6440. There was an accident at Clayton Skinker causing a delay through there. Also an accident on westbound 44, really close to Mordock. So that's approaching the Edgar area. How else can I say that? So as you approach the Shrewsbury area, and expect a delay behind that. Now, we've also got 70 in pretty good shape. So if that's an option for you, go ahead and take that one. There's an accident reported on southbound 141, a little bit north of Conway Road. And southbound 270, it's mainly moderate volume, but it stretches from Page all the way down through Gravois. 55, it's really slow just south of Arsenal. Looks better once you get south and head down toward Loughborough. If you're headed into Illinois, we look good on the bridges. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Enter now at overheaddoorstlouis.com.
Halloween is just around the corner, but don't ghost your carpet this fall. Let Zero Res bring out the very best. Mark Cox here for my friends at Zero Res. They've got a great special for October. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at $129. That's a $40 savings. Plus, you can get 15% off air duct and dryer vent cleaning. That's impressive. If there's anything scarier than ghosts or goblins, it's probably hiding in your air ducts. Right now, this month, you can get 15% off. Get that cleaned up, and don't miss a deal like this. It could haunt you, if you'll excuse me for that one. Zero Res has a 4.9 rating on Google, over 5,900 reviews. So schedule your appointment with ZeroResSTL.com or call 314-474-2020. Tell them you want the 97.1 FM Talk special. It's Zero Res. Spell it backward or forward, it spells the same.
Let Banner Construction show you what a difference James Hardy can make to your home. Banner's exterior design team will show you custom design options to transform your home into the neighborhood showplace. Banner is a preferred James Hardy and Pella Window specialist. With winter just around the corner, now is the time to think about Pella Windows for energy efficiency and comfort. Call Banner Construction, 314-569-1050 to schedule your free in-home consultation, or the website bannerconstruction.com, and have a banner day.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
Now that we're getting older, we've been putting more thought into maintaining our health.
We knew the water we drink every day could be filled with contaminants, so
we called Leaf Home Water Solutions.
They came to our home and did a free water test and gave us the analysis right away.
We were shocked at what we saw.
They found heavy metals like iron and copper.
Our own tap water was putting our health at risk, but Leaf Home Water Solutions made it easy to get safer water from every tap and hose. A whole home solution.
They have more than 250 product combinations and designed a system that fits our needs and budget. The installation took less than a day.
With Leaf Home Water Solutions, our water is safer and healthier. When we drink, when we cook, when we shower, even when we garden.
We feel better about our health.
Thanks to Leaf Home Water Solutions.
Schedule your free home water test today at leafhome.com/free and save 15% on all home water treatment systems. That's leafhome.com/free for your free home water test and 15% off. leafhome.com/free.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
3:36. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, heating, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing.
Hey, it's Jane Duker. Congrats, 97.1 FM Talk on 25 years. For me, you've always been a place where we could have honest debates about important public policy issues. Cheers to the next chapter.
Okay, our big birthday party is coming up tomorrow. We are on location at Lit Cigar Lounge in the district down in Chesterfield. Come see us. RSVP at 971talk.com. A bunch of guests lined up for tomorrow. I really don't have to do much because there's going to be like co-hosts with me and I can kick back. And I don't smoke cigars, but maybe I will tomorrow. So just for you, because I know how much you love the smell. James Fishback is back with us this afternoon. The CEO of Azori is the founder and executive director of Incubate Debate. He's been a guest for a long time here on the show. James, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me back.
I want to talk to you about some of the H-1B visa issues and some of the other things you've been illustrating. But, whenever I have a guest on, I typically go to their X page and just kind of see what you've been talking about. And you had this thing up there that I had missed about something that occurred in Gainesville, Florida, where there was a teacher that was forcing students and faculty to address her with the prefix MX instead of Ms. or Mrs. This is something that's real down there in Florida.
Right. And the whole idea is, no, I'm a gender-neutral teacher. And then you have the students asking, what is that? And that, of course, gives her the license to then explain this weird, queer social justice theory to these young, impressionable fourth graders. And I am so glad that Florida Attorney General James Othmeyer stepped in. This teacher is now being disciplined. In this country and in this world, God created male and female. There is no MX. There is Mr. and Miss. And any teacher trying to pervert her pronouns is a deviant and is trying to push propaganda on her
It's
kids.
disgusting. I mean, I can't even imagine what my reaction would be if my daughter came home who's in 5th grade and said something like this was happening. I think my head would certainly explode. All right, let's talk about the shutdown a little bit related to the claims that are being made by the left and the right, and in particular on this, because both sides are saying different things on the illegals. The migrants, it's a lie. They're not getting any government assistance. The folks on the right say, well, no, it's not if you look into what's really happening out there. So this is a position where the Democrats continue to not vote to reopen the government. They're demanding $1.5 trillion in benefits that could go to illegal migrants. How does this thing get settled? And how, muffed up are the numbers here that the Democrats are trying to seize on?
Well, the truth is this all began, like most things, during the scamdemic. They passed a temporary emergency health care subsidy. And as you know, Mark, there's nothing more permanent in D.C. than a temporary emergency subsidy. And so now we are the unreasonable ones for telling the Democrats that no, 5.5 years after the China virus was unleashed on the world, we are not going to continue the Obamacare-era health care subsidies. And I think what the Senate Republicans have done is very noble, is we can have a debate about health care, but we're not going to have that in the midst of you holding the entire country up at gunpoint. What the Senate Republicans have now proposed is let's do a clean CR, what they did earlier this year. Everyone voted on it. Let's do a clean CR to reopen the government, to get those paychecks to our great service members, to our air traffic controllers, to get SNAP benefits to families who need them. And then let's have a separate independent debate about the merits or the demerits of this healthcare subsidy policy. That's reasonable, but no, because their policy is so untenable. This healthcare extension is so ridiculous, or to use a technical term, redonkulous. It is so redonkulous, Mark, that the only possible way it could ever get passed into law, no, is not through open debate on the floor of the Senate, but by forcing the country to swallow this pill in the midst of a shutdown, using that as the ultimate lever to reopen the government. And President Trump is not going to blink. The Senate Democrats will, whether it's next week, next month, or maybe even in early 26 next year. So be it. But you cannot hold our country hostage.
Let it go. I say shut it down as long as it takes, because you can't bend on this one. Here's something you've been repeating this a little bit, and I think it's important. I'd love to get reaction to some of the folks on the left and see what they would respond here. The federal government budget is 54% higher than it was right before COVID. 54%. We're talking trillions of dollars. But even when you talk about peeling back or holding spending levels, James, to previous levels, right? Like last year's levels, that's controversial in Washington with the Democrats. You can't, that's a cut, right? If you just want to keep spending at a current level, that's a cut.
Yeah. Exactly. You think about your listeners, and I've been to St. Louis, and it's awesome. And think about people. Have their expenses of their own volition gone up by 54% over the past 5 years? Of course not. The government is spending, which is to say they are taxing us, whether it's now or in the future, 54% more than they were 5 years ago. Well, is our government 54% more efficient? Are the services they're giving us 54% more effective? Is the DMV line 54% quicker? Of course, none of that is true.
That's for sure.
And so the premise of DOGE, which is transparency, accountability, and efficiency, I was fortunate to be on this team very early on, is we don't have to roll back the clock to the era of Bill Clinton or Ronald Reagan. All we have to do is to get government spending where it was right before the scamdemic, which was in fact part of the problem. It was the scamdemic that allowed us to pervert the federal budget the way it has been. Get it back to where we were right before the pandemic, and we're going to be fine. And by the way, Mark, if we got federal spending to where it was 5 years ago, we would have a balanced budget. That would be balancing isn't that incredible? Yeah. Get spending to where it was 5 years ago. The budget is balanced into perpetuity, and then we can start really paying down this debt, because I'm really getting sick of Republicans and Democrats in D.C. with their pet projects, and they're putting it on our children and on their children, and no one should be a slave to China. That is the number one holder of our debt internationally. And every time we print more money, buy things that we don't need for people that don't even live, are not even citizens to our country, that is an abomination.
James Fishback back with us this afternoon. All right, I know that you have been covering this H-1B visa issue, and there was some information that came out on this here in the last couple of days, that he's talking about a $100,000 visa fee that will apply to new visa applicants outside of the country. Explain this issue and why it's so important right now, James.
Well, there's this lie that's been peddled by Democrats and one Republican in particular. I don't want to name names, but there's this lie that's been peddled that Americans are not skilled, that we're not qualified, that we're just dumb and lazy. And that is a lie. That is a slanderous lie against Americans who have worked hard, who have hustled and have done everything right. So in the 1990s, they passed this H-1B program to address what they called the skills gap. When companies needed to hire a skilled engineer for an internet project, or increasingly nowadays an AI project, and they technically couldn't find one, they would say, in America. They had permission to import one from India. And they did it and did it again and again and again, to the point now where Amazon has 14,000 H-1Bs on the policy. When you've got a literal supermarket in Fort Myers, Florida, in my own home state of Florida, that employs an H-1B on the floor of a supermarket. We've got 50,000 accounting graduates getting a degree in this country every single year, and yet McKinsey, Accenture, and Deloitte are using H-1Bs to hire entry-level accountants. Here's a radical concept. American jobs are for Americans. When you discriminate based on the citizenship status of an American and say, well, because you are an American citizen, that we can't pay you the lower rate that we can pay a Chinese or an Indian, that we are not going to give you the job. That is a real problem. And we have to take this idea of made in America a step further. If the stuff is made in America, whether it's a good or a service, but it's made by imported third world cheap foreign labor, then what does that matter? What good does that do us if that labor is not accruing to us, where we can then buy a home and save up and buy dirt and put branches on our family tree? If it's made by foreign labor in America, you might as well just tariff it. And so take the concept further, not the three words made in America, Mark, but made in America. Wait for it. By Americans. Radical concept. Americans get American jobs. That's how it ought to work. And when I think of my dad, he grew up in the 1960s. Half of 30-year-old men in the 1960s, half of them owned their home and were married. Today, only 15% of 30-year-old men own their home and are married. And maybe, just maybe, that has something to do with importing all of these third world workers and giving jobs that would have gone to good men in my hometown of Broward County and up in St. Louis. Good, hardworking people are being replaced by the globalist. And make no mistake, the globalist cabal includes both Democrats and Republicans. We have to send a very loud message to Washington, D.C. The great replacement of American workers must stop, and stop now.
But James, you would agree, you would not be on the same page as President Trump on this issue, right?
Well, the president has the right instincts with the $100,000 visa fee. And the thinking there is, well, if these workers are so skilled, then you should be willing to pay up for them. You don't get to hire an accountant for $60,000 when the market rate for an American accountant is $80,000. Yeah, right. The reason why Accenture and Amazon and Google are hiring these Indians is not because they're more qualified. It's because they're cheaper and they're exploitable. And so what President Trump has done, he has the right instinct because he's opposed to the program, is what he's saying is, If we can put a $100,000 fee, we will effectively work to dismantle the program. I talked to the president about this the other day. We've got to take it a step further. We have to utterly dismantle this program. Look, if you're OpenAI, if you're Sam Altman, if you're Elon Musk over at XAI, and you want to hire the top Chinese mathematician to work on an AI project that is going to help America beat China in the AI arms race, by all means. That is not what the H-1B program is doing, though. The H-1B program literally employs more foreign accountants than it does computer scientists. That is a problem. That is wrong. And President Trump has the right instincts in wanting to dismantle this program for good.
So just to be clear, in case the audience is confused, that $100,000 fee would be for new applicants who live outside the country, and it's the employers that would pay the fee after the visa is approved. That's why, because it wouldn't be the worker that's writing a $100,000 check, but the employers would have to do that. James, keep on. I'm always great.
Right. It would be. Yeah, it'd be the employer that's paying that.
Always great to have you on. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
All right,
appreciate
take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we have had some issues out there already this afternoon. The latest is the accident southbound 141 past Old Woods Mill. That has actually been moved to the shoulder. Now, if you are leaving downtown, westbound 6440, they cleared the accident that was at Clayton Skaker, but we still have some slow-moving traffic from almost Kings Highway now out through McCausland, eastbound slowing because of an accident at Big Bend, and that's jamming up traffic on southbound 170. At southbound 270, it's mainly moderate volume, but it's in pockets approaching Page, down through Doherty Ferry, even a little bit at 2170 westbound, slowing as you approach the inner belt to just past Natural Bridge. Then it's okay. But out west, 64 has slow pockets from Highway N out through 70 in that construction zone. And southbound 55, that's a slow go as you head for Broadway and down toward Bates. And then things open up a bit. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Sponsored by Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty 314-325-6888.
Need to sell your home and you want the most money? The name to remember is Gloria Lou. Yes, Gloria Lou with your home sold guaranteed realty at 314-325-6888 and start packing.
Hi, it's Griff Jenkins. Happy 25th to 97.1 FM Talk. This station has been part of my life for years, and to me, it means connecting with my talk radio roots, so thanks for being the conservative voice of St. Louis.
Sometimes I think people go into home improvement projects and they think, no way can I afford this right now. I want to do something special with my bathroom, but it's going to be too expensive. Not with Michael's Baths. They always come in 30 to 50% less on their bids than the competition, and you're getting just as good, if not better, service and products and installation. Right now, they're offering a free shower door or $500 off your project when you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk. They have great American-made products. If you're looking to convert a bathtub into a walk-in shower, you're looking to make that shower area that maybe you have a little bit safer, maybe a fresh, modern look for the entire bathroom, well, they can do it. And all they do at Michael's Baths is bathrooms. They have amazing number of 5-star reviews on Google and A+ rating with the BBB. I've gotten a chance to know Mike Gower. It's his company. His daughter, Melody, will answer your call. They have a great team in the field, and they'd love to hear from you. They also work with customers who are approved by the VA for a grant that will pay most, if not all, of the price for the project. Call Michaels, 636-775-0800. The website, michaelsbaths.com.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. Quo, formerly OpenPhone, gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. Quo lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? Quo automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With Quo's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with Quo. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/free and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's quo.com/free. QUO.com/free.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Bold conversations, no apologies. The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
This is on one of those situations with the ACA subsidy issue that I have this hope that Barry Weiss, who has taken over CBS News, can maybe make a difference in the way that some of these stories are explained to the American people, because I think this is a doozy. So it's Senator Amy Klobuchar up in Minnesota who tweets this out a couple of days ago. I referenced this with Brian Kilmeade, and I'm still shaking my head thinking, why would you do this when you're trying to make the case that the American people can't afford health care? You know, when you think of people who can't afford health care, you think of people who are on, the outs. They don't have a job. They're below the poverty line, all these things. So Senator Klobuchar says early retirees like Bill and Shelley, and they have a picture of this cute couple here, will see their health insurance premiums increase nearly 300%, from $442 to $1,700 a month if congressional Republicans refuse to extend the enhanced tax credits. That's an extra $15,000 a year that families can't afford. The problem is when you kind of dig down into the story, she wants you to have empathy here for this couple. And if you look at their income was $136,000 in 2024 from pensions and IRA withdrawals because they retired early in their 50s. Because you have, deductions and things like that, they likely bring in more than $170,000 a year in their household. Now, that's not as much money as it used to be because we know about inflation, but they then expect me and the rest of you to subsidize people who retire more than a decade early so they can get a subsidy from the taxpayers. And they can spend time with it. Well, how does that make any sense whatsoever?
Whoa.
Right? Now, and again, if you're Senator Klobuchar, maybe you can pick someone else out there to make the poster child for this instead of a white couple who are both, retired in their 50s. And by the way, here's the other thing. That's not a bad deal. The deal that they're getting right now with these subsidies being reduced is incredibly low. Incredibly low. It's $400. So, yeah, it's doubling because they're both on it. So it's $800 for them a month more in their premiums, which is still a better deal than a lot of people get out there on the private market.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are leaving the office and taking westbound 70, some moderate volume out of downtown. Looks okay past the airport, and a slow pocket or two out through the Wentzville area. 64 is lined up Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound still slow, approaching 170 through Big Bend. And out west, volume, most of it Highway N out through 70. Southbound 270, slow pockets from Page down through Doherty Ferry, and we've got some volume. Southbound 55 south of Arsenal down through Bates. We look fine if you are headed into Illinois on the bridges downtown. This report is brought to you by Aspen Contracting. Is your siding dragging down your home's curb appeal? Aspen Contracting can transform your house with new siding, fast, efficient, and built to last. Don't settle for an eyesore. Call Aspen today for your free siding inspection. 636-465-1696. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
The ACA Market Plan has just announced significant increases on their monthly premiums for 2026, with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Greg Hammond's Freedom of Choice plans now. You don't have to wait. One of their plans lets you use any doctor, has zero outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower than most Obamacare plans. Other options are full coverage PPOs with national networks, copays, and 100% annual preventative care. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg, and they'll provide all available options. Call 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
Make the most of fall and have an outdoor space that you actually love that's built to last. Lakeside Renovation and Design builds custom decks, screened-in porches, covered patios, and they use these durable, low-maintenance materials like composite decking and aluminum railings. They're going to make sure you have the perfect setup so you can host your family and friends for backyard barbecues or just sit outside and enjoy the morning coffee even when it's raining. Don't wait until the spring to start planning the space that you want to enjoy next year. Start with a free consultation. Visit lakesiderd.com, lakesiderd.com.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
This Thursday, stop by Bobby's in Maryville for a boolicious bash with 30 candy-filled trunks and prizes galore, all supporting Maryville's Cops and Kids Christmas. So have your costume ready for Thursday and learn more at 971talk.com/events.
We have a Wednesday edition of Sue's News just around the corner on 97.1 FM Talk.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Putting Russia on notice. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
We are going to be announcing a substantial increase in Russia's sanctions.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent telling Fox Business the president is disappointed with where talks stand on ending the war in Ukraine.
President Putin has not come to the table in an honest and forthright manner, as we'd hoped.
This week, the president pulling the plug on plans for another upcoming meeting with Putin. Congress also still considering separate sanctions. One U.S. senator making a marathon stand against a president Democrats call lawless.
Due process matters, that court decisions matter, and that we're paying attention, and we're going to keep making as much good trouble as we can when we see violations of fundamental rights for Americans.
Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley started his filibuster almost 23 hours ago as a government shutdown standoff continues.
The Democrat shutdown is a glaring example of just how far the Democratic Party has strayed from common sense.
House Speaker Mike Johnson urging Senate passage of a short-term spending bill already passed by the House. Democrats want health care issues addressed first. President Trump says he's willing to meet with the Democrats, but only after the government reopens. That shutdown health care debate centering in part on rising premiums for Obamacare if tax credits expire. But a new poll finds insurance costs already rising for other plans.
The average employer-based family health insurance plan cost nearly $27,000 this year, up 6% from last year, according to a survey conducted by the health research group KFF. Employers are picking up about three-quarters of that, with employees contributing nearly $600 a month. KFF's chief executive says he sees a wave of employees potentially being made to share more of the costs as they go up.
Fox's Chris Foster, employers citing multiple reasons for the rising costs. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/Mike.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our classic fall weather pattern continues. Crystal clear skies, a tumble into the 50s this evening. Sweater weather. It's cold overnight, 43 for the low. Some heaters may be clicking on. Thursday, lots of sunshine, light winds all day long. 66 Thursday night, clear 41. Friday, increasing clouds, but a dry day and a chilly 60 degrees. Just a couple of spotty showers around Friday night and over the weekend. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, we're getting ready for our big birthday party tomorrow at Lit Cigar Lounge. Alex Rich is with us in the studio on this Wednesday. You have been out there to Lit Cigar Lounge. Describe what we'll be experiencing tomorrow,
Oh, it's
Alex.
a great place, great atmosphere, you know. And even if you're not a big cigar smoker, you
Sue
go
is.
in.
I don't know if you knew that. She
Are
loves
you?
them.
Are you going to have one tomorrow?
She loves cigars.
No.
I think maybe we try to push this.
That's not
going to
happen.
No, it's a great environment. There's going to be the Napoli brothers are going to have some food on site there. They're going to be making fresh pasta in front of you there.
Oh, nice.
So I believe the VIP tickets are sold out.
They are.
But
They are.
you could buy you can purchase food there on site, and it's going to be a great time. Great to hang out, watch live sports, whatever else is on. I mean, it's a cool atmosphere. Honestly, it's kind of a man cave, but like the ladies are welcome. You know, you don't feel
It's very generous.
You don't
yeah.
feel well, you know.
I got you.
So we don't have to cancel your appearance.
We don't
tomorrow.
have to cancel your appearance tomorrow.
In other words,
women are
It's a big
invited.
boys
Yeah.
club, but you know what? We'll take you with if
No,
if
it's cool.
Yeah, Brian Snyder from Lit Cigar will be
Yeah,
joining us.
yeah. Brian's awesome. And what they're doing over there at Lit is it's unique because you think of like a cigar lounge as like this. Now it is like an intimate kind of place, but you think of this place that you walk in is just like filled with smoke everywhere, and like the ventilation's great in there, and it's a vibe. I think is the best way I'd describe it. They got poker tables there if that's your thing. If that's not
Really?
your thing, oh yeah.
Oh, that is my thing.
The
It's
games,
a vibe.
The games get going. I think there's groups that meet up there, weekly, and yeah.
And illegally
Mark,
play poker for money? That's awesome.
You know,
I want that.
think
I'm
there's-
in on that.
I know. We need to get you involved.
Yes. Man, I used to play Hold'em so much. I loved it. I love the game. I just kind of got away from it over the last decade. If you go back like to the early 2000s and that whole period, my wife's actually a very good Hold'em player. You guys play poker at all? So you play poker?
One time I learned how to play it. I do not know really how to do it. I didn't retain it.
Seems like there's a lot to keep track of.
Texas Hold'em's a little different than, like 5-card stutter, some of the things that we used to play when we were younger. I don't know why. I should know the history of that, but like when I was at Mizzou, I'd play cards with, friends in the dorms and stuff like that. Fred, you a Hold'em guy, are you?
You mean the river?
Yes, you know the river card, right? There you go.
I've watched enough of it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm one of those weird people that does watch like professional poker when it's on TV.
You know, I have a couple buddies from college that joined the World Poker Tour, the World Series of Poker.
Yeah,
whatever.
really?
And occasionally I'll see them on there, like it's on at like insane times, right? It's like 2 in the morning or something, and for whatever reason it comes on, and I'll see like a buddy from college on there, and I'll be like, that's insane. I don't know if this is definitely not legal at the time, but I think we're past the time that I can talk about it now.
I think the statute of limitations is passed.
I remember picking up a buddy, one of these guys from the airport, and he had literally like a duffel bag full of cash that he had just won.
Was his name J.B.
Vegas.
Pritzker?
Well, I dropped him off.
Did you hear that story?
Yeah, I did.
And see, some people are saying, you know that story, Sue? He
no,
made like $1.4 million in gambling winnings, blackjack winnings, and some people are like, even Dave Portnoy at Barstool's like, okay, I used to gamble, but I don't know about that number. But you know, he's worth a
but then how much do you
$1 gazillion.
spend on it?
Right. The high rollers spend a lot of money. There's no doubt about that. Well, that'll be fun tomorrow. I think we're very much looking forward to it. By the way, on the poker front, so I started to learn how to play early 2000s, and I was playing on the computer a lot. And then I had some friends in Columbia that would hold tournaments. And when I would come visit, because I was living in Wisconsin at the time, we'd play, and we're talking like $20, $50 buy-ins, probably $20 buy-ins for, Texas Hold'em. And I taught my wife how to play, and she was somewhat interested. In fact, this was before she was my wife. So we went to a tournament in Milwaukee that I got invited to, and I think there were like 30, 35 people there. She was the only woman in the entire
Did
place.
she wear sunglasses like they do on the
They
show?
all do.
It is funny when they wear hats and sun. Like if I would play Sue, I'd have my hoodie on and I'd have my sunglasses.
Oh
No.
my
But what I
gosh.
will tell you is she's the only woman in the entire tournament, and she took it down. She took all the boys down.
Oh, my gosh, you
And it
go,
was her
Becky.
first real tournament. Like that was the first poker tournament outside of like, playing with some friends and stuff like that and playing online. And then it was even better. We had like a second, some people hung out and they did a second round buy-in, and I won that one. So we walked out of there with like $800 that night.
It's a solid day.
It was a good day. It was a really, really good day. Have you seen, we'll talk about this maybe a little bit more on Friday, or maybe not, because, well, we will. Friday's after Thursday. Is Friday still after Thursday?
Yes,
It is.
that's
Okay,
confirmed.
I think so, yeah.
Thank you for confirming that. I was getting confused with saying something that was going to happen tomorrow. But no, Paul Hall will be with us on Friday. And he mentioned this last week. Alex, this is up your alley. I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out. The Perfect Neighbor, the documentary on Netflix.
And this takes me down another path. I'd like to admit that given all of the trouble that Netflix has given with the new households, update the household.
Did you cancel it?
No, Mark, I had to actually buy my own Netflix subscription after
Couldn't
all
steal
these
it from your
years.
parents?
I couldn't.
like an
I
adult.
couldn't. But it's been coming up there, and I've wanted to watch it. I haven't had the chance to.
So
yet,
I
though.
watched it last night, and it's pretty compelling. This was something that made a lot of noise at Sundance earlier this year, and you remember what we talked about last week and how this is described. It's very unique because it tells the story in this neighborhood down in Florida where there's a woman by the name of Phyllis, what's her name? Susan Lawrence. And she just hates her neighbors. There's a bunch of black kids and other kids around her house. They don't, play football. They're not even on her property, but she just keeps calling the cops. Well, then something really bad happens. I won't be a spoiler.
Don't ruin it, yeah.
But the unique part of this movie isn't the story of what happened on that block outside of Ocala, Florida. It's the fact that this documentary was made pretty much 98% with dash cam and body cam. And then there's some television interview things because this was a story. It became a national story when it happened, and they used some of the TV footage as well. But, I mean, the beginning of the film really just kind of introduces yourself to the people who live in the neighborhood and to the Susan Lawrence person who complains about everything that she can. And the cops, you can see the views from the body cam that they have. And these cops repeatedly are pulled out to this neighborhood when they have far better things to do because she's complaining about the kids. There's certainly some racial elements here, but when the incident happens, it's pretty shocking, and it's certainly going to catch your attention. I didn't think it was like the mind-blowing best documentary that people may have thought it was at Sundance, because even Paul last week when he talked about it said this is going to be up for Oscar contention. It might be. And again, the structure of the documentary is very unique. I'll give it that. I liked it. I just didn't think it was like, wow, that blew me away.
Is the element of surprise greater than the one of unknown number?
No. That's
Okay.
the thing. Like, if
What's that?
Stop, Sue.
So
we
if
do
I
this every week, Sue.
That's the deal. If I compare, and this is just me, right? If I compare that documentary, but again, this documentary is about social justice issues. It's always going to get elevated when there's race involved and stuff like that. But no, I would say, and Fred's seen Unknown Number.
I did.
I would say that that's more compelling. It's certainly better if you don't know what happened. I mean, in this situation, I didn't tell you what happened, but you can kind of guess. You know, something happens, and then, you know, there's the aftermath of it. But I think there's better documentaries out there. I really do. What I liked about this one is they do tend to extend these things. Paul made this point last week. They draw them out. Like, they make them 3 or 4 episodes, and by the time you get to the last episode, you're like, okay, I didn't really need... They don't do that here.
This
they
is
basically,
one-
boom, it's like 80 minutes.
That's what we like.
You're in and out. Yeah.
Because there's several I've watched, and you're like, they could eliminate the 3
A lot of
episodes
it,
that are
right.
in between. Who has this much time to watch 8 different, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch it tonight.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. There's no doubt about that. We're coming back. We got Sue's News.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Couple of things happening or reported along westbound 44. One is eastbound 44 past Six Flags Road, an accident reported in the right lane, and a stall westbound 44 past Gray Summit, also in the right lane. Now we've got westbound 6440 lined up Kings Highway out through McCausland, and then in pockets out through the 70 split. 70 is slowing in both directions at Jennings Station Road. And then slow pockets between 141 and Wentzville. Now southbound 170. That's some slow-moving traffic, but it's from Olive down through 64, southbound 270. Slow pockets approaching Olive, down through Doherty Ferry, and again at Gravois. 55 slowing south of Arsenal down through about Bates. But if you're headed into Illinois, it looks fine on the bridges downtown. 44 on the Missouri side slowing in front of the Arch. This report brought to you by The Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I'm going to guide you into the best way to handle a new flooring project in your home, and that's with the team at Michael's Flooring Outlet. You have choices. There's no doubt about that. I would really advise against going into a big box store and looking at what they have, because you're not going to find the experience, the knowledge, the style that they have at Michael's. Like, he's got long time employees that have been at this. He's been doing this since he was 26 years old. Just like anything else I've mentioned, the technology advances. So depending on your lifestyle, if you have dogs, if you have cats, if you have kids, you may be looking for a different type of flooring. Obviously, there's different price points as well. But here's a couple of examples of great reviews. Just starting a project. Wonderful experience with Mike at the store. Home with a couple of samples to be sure what we want. Have measurement appointment next week. They'll take great care of you. They'll make sure that you can get samples. You can look at the options, obviously, online on the website. Here's another one. Michael's Flooring delivered again, not only providing beautiful materials, but also professional installation and a great customer experience. This is my 3rd project with them, and I know based on all 3 experiences, I'm going back for the next one. They have Michael's Flooring in Old Town St. Peters, in Darden Prairie, also in Creve Coeur on Olive. The website, igotfloored.com.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm Kristen Press.
And I'm Tobin Heath.
We're World Cup winners, Olympians, and the hosts of The Recap Show.
Every week, we sit down with the icons, disruptors, and game changers on the field and beyond it to talk victories, heartbreaks, and everything in between.
We've built a space where athletes, changemakers, and people creating the future of women's sports can show up and show off as their full, unapologetic selves. Follow and listen to The Recap Show wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Fred, I'm going to share this a little later this hour. I just got a very, very funny email from Ted Melfi. Remember Ted Melfi?
Yeah.
He's the director of Hidden Figures, which was a great movie.
I loved that movie.
And Ted's got such a he became a friend, and he's got such a great story. He grew up in the Springfield area because this is true, although he doesn't like to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
His dad was literally in the mob. His dad was a mobster, and they relocated. And I don't know if it was like a witness protection thing or something like that.
Gosh.
But he ended up in Springfield.
Wow.
And it's true, and he will acknowledge it's true, but he doesn't really talk about it.
Well, I wonder why.
Well, yeah, I know. But the email is kind of funny, and I don't think he'd be upset if I shared part of it.
They would.
And what's funny is you'll get it when I read it to you, but we don't have time to do that now. Alex Rich is here. Sue's here. We have this.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News, presented by U.S. Men's Medical Center.
Happy National Nut Day. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I like a peanut. I'm going to just go with that.
I'm a cashew.
Yeah, cashew.
Oh, I like a cashew. A cashew. Have you had a raw cashew with nothing on it?
Doesn't sound as delicious as the
Well,
real fattening one with
they're-
salt,
Let me ask you
personally.
this. Have you had the warm nuts at the hockey games?
I have not.
Sounds like a personal question.
Well, it is a personal question
Yeah.
because I've had them. I'm sure
sounds
you've had
delicious.
them. They are unbelievable.
Do they have those the big ones that the monkey toe? What are the real called? What do you call those for real?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
They're huge.
Yes, they're enormous.
Oh man, they're it'll come to
Brazil
me.
nut?
Brazil nut.
That's it.
The Brazil nut.
Do they have that in the mix? I'm not a fan
no,
of
they
those.
have pecans and almonds, I believe, and they got a little cinnamon coated.
Oh, I'm in.
They are unbelievable.
Okay, that sounds great. And it's also, speaking of Dave Portnoy, was that on the air or off the
I
air?
said something about Dave Portnoy,
Okay.
yeah.
It's National Tavern Style Pizza Day. Now, if you watch him, we watch him every night do the pizza review.
Yeah, does the pizza challenge or
And
whatever, right.
Tavern Style is the super thin crust. It's not that far off of St. Louis, except we put on the provolone, and he doesn't care for that.
Provel.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, that's true. I guess it's just Provel. I
Yeah.
think some places mix it up and do
I'm
their
sure
own
they do.
St. Louis version, and he doesn't care for it. But it's National Tavern Style Pizza Day and National Make a Dog's Day. So be nice to
I
the
feel like every
puppies.
day is Make a Dog's Day, right?
I know.
Our puppy just learned. This is big news. I think is officially potty trained.
Oh, good.
That's huge.
I will guarantee you that within the next 24 hours, that dog will have an accident in your house because I've declared these victories myself, and maybe 48 hours, but I promise you it will happen.
You can't
Promise you.
really declare it till after a year because they always they fool you and then something happens, but it's not consistent bad.
But
This is
I'm
weird.
confident in it.
Mine is now. I would
Sure.
say he's 98%. He's there. But here's the weirdest thing. I've never had a dog like this. So he's 7 months old. He's the Siberian Husky Lab Pit Bull mix, very athletic. He's got a lot of energy, right? Whenever I walk him, whenever I take him out, he never pees. He never does number 2. I don't know where he saves it for the backyard.
Does he pretend to go?
No.
Okay.
Like lately, his thing is, I just want to run. I just want to play. I never see him. Like when yesterday I went to George Winter Park, I told you I lost him temporarily.
Yes.
Maybe that's what he was doing.
Oh, that could be.
He never just, squats and stops. He just goes.
Is he embarrassed?
He might be. He might be a little shy. Maybe he's got stage fright. It's common with
it
men.
happens.
Like he can't go in the
boy dog.
urinal next to the other dogs.
Yeah.
He's got to go. Okay, could be something like that. But it is weird. I've never had a dog like that. Usually, the first thing the dog does, you take him outside, they pee.
Yeah, that's weird.
He don't do that.
Well, my Frenchie goes. He goes at least 10 different times and pretends to go
Right.
where he's like marking his territory. Where it's like, dude, enough.
That's
now.
what Olaf does too.
Yeah, it's like, dude, come
Exactly.
on, you're not even going.
Yep.
You're just
what the little dog
You're
does.
just doing this for show.
It's what the
Luna
boys
does
do.
that too.
Yeah.
Right.
9 or 10 times on a walk. It's like, come on.
I at
Right.
the end to get I'm like, no, we're not peeing on everything. We've got to go home.
I have the opposite. I don't get it. I really don't
Wonder
get
if
it.
that'll change because that's not helpful.
It seems weird to me.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, he can hold again. Like he'd be if I go home right now. He's been in the crate since 1 o'clock. I'd let him outside. I'm sometimes he just turns around. He looks at me through the door. Like, I want to come back inside. Whatever. As long as he's not going on the floor, I don't care.
You do you.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
you tell him. And on this day in history, we've got a little music. 59 years ago, in 1966, the Beach Boys hit the charts with this one.
I love the colorful clothes you wear and the way the sunlight plays upon her hair.
Not a number one. Just hit the charts. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, the single right here, Good Vibrations, took 6 months to record. And it was the most expensive song ever produced up to that time. It cost $500,000 to make.
Why?
I guess time
I'll
and
tell you why.
recording
No,
studio.
because
I'm
Brian
sorry.
Wilson was so weird and he wanted everything to be perfect.
That's exactly right. It wasn't $500,000. I'm off by a zero. $50,000.
Okay.
It was 1966
But still.
after all. Yeah.
You know, this song is interesting to me because you're not going to believe this. When I used to bat, when I would go up to the plate and bat in high school, college, whatever it would be, I would always think of a song that would kind of calm you down. You don't think about the pitch coming. Like for me, it was like think about a song, sing the song over and over and over
Really?
again. This was the song that, for whatever reason, for years, every single at bat, I would sing "Good Vibrations" in my head
I
while the
love
pitch
that.
was coming.
Have you ever thought to yourself, maybe I should have picked another song and then I'd be in Major League Baseball like my the guy I backed up, Kyle Schwarber,
you
hitting
know.
35 home runs a
No,
year?
that
maybe
wasn't it.
Kyle had a different song and it was a better song.
It probably was. More
This
than
is an
likely
expensive
was.
song. He
It was an
chose
expensive.
well.
I have expensive taste.
But that
Yeah.
is interesting. Now, seriously, is that something athletes do?
Center yourself?
I think just whatever. I mean, I'm also a music person,
Right.
so for me, it was like music was calming, and
I
you
get
know,
that.
when
I like
a pitch is coming at 90-something miles per hour, you've got to calm yourself down and relax a little bit and find what gets you in the zone, I guess.
That
It
makes
could have been
sense.
your
Yeah.
walk-up song.
No, my walk-up song was "Up in Here" by DMX. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here.
Yeah, that fits.
Or
sadly.
Rich Girl,
That does,
because I am a rich girl
Oh, yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
good,
a good one.
good.
Yeah.
Did you guys have walk-up songs? You did?
Oh,
In
yeah.
Indiana?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's cool. I like that.
Part of the atmosphere, isn't it? Gets you all
Totally.
pumped up. All right, and then 56 years ago today, it was in 1969 when Led Zeppelin II was released. And, of course, that featured this Monster Jam.
Monster Jam. I just
Oh,
love
Monster
I just love
Jam.
hearing Sue say Monster Jam.
A whole lot of love.
On 97.1 FM Talk. I was a big Zeppelin fan.
I am
big,
not
and still am.
surprised.
Still am, but
Yeah.
they were. I was, I really did get into the Rolling Stones long after Led Zeppelin. Like it probably took Tattoo You for me to start.
Oh, wow.
Really getting into the Stones because I kind of favored Zeppelin, but then I got really into the Stones too.
I
A
get
little
it.
bit behind on that. I think.
56 years ago. It's just a pretty big difference in 3 years between the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations and this.
Well, that period in the late 1960s in particular was a very, very defining moment for rock and roll.
And
No doubt about it.
That's true. And then 13 years ago, I couldn't believe it was this long ago, but it was in 2012 When Lance Armstrong was stripped of all 7 of his Tour de France titles, he was a cheater.
And I still have mixed feelings on this, and I'm just going to tell you why.
Okay.
You have every right to
Yes.
not have. And
Mhm.
I'm not taking away your but I'm just being honest, and I know there's people out there that would have. I had so much damn fun watching Lance Armstrong whip up on the Germans and all these guys, and they were all doping. I'm just telling you, they were all doing it. And the reason the Americans did it, I'm not justifying it, rationalizing it. They did it because there was no way for them to compete on that field. And I mean, those races were unreal. I watched the Tour de France still. It's freaking boring compared to the way it used to be. But I get it, and he lied. I was fooled by him. Floyd
Same
Landis.
here.
I interviewed Floyd Landis, and I expressed empathy for him because I didn't think he was a cheater. He's another guy that won the Tour after Lance, and he was.
He was. Here's what. Besides the cheating that I don't like, he threw several people under the bus.
Well, that's true. His
I
behavior.
mean, and ran over them for saying, "How
Yes.
dare you?" And all they were doing was telling the truth.
Yeah.
And I can't.
You know what?
I can't abide that.
That's a very good point
Yeah.
because it wasn't just lying, but the way that he lied and the way that he
mean.
demonized the people who
Yes.
actually were telling the truth in the end.
Correct.
That's
Making
fair.
them seem really
Yes,
awful.
fair assessment.
I don't know that I'm allowed to say this either, but it is National Nut Day, and he did do it all with one.
Well, that's a good point. That is a good point.
The big. I'm going on.
By the way, the great irony of that is that he was probably doping, and
Fred
there's
doesn't know
doping
what
that
to
might
think
have led to that
No, that was
cancer.
really good. Yeah.
You know, there is a school of
Totally.
thought, right?
Totally.
Okay, you know that big internet outage we had on Monday with Amazon, right? Well, it shut down things you didn't actually think about. In fact, it shut down a bunch of smart beds made by a company called 8 Sleep. They run on the cloud hosted by Amazon Web Services. So they have those tilting bed frames, and they completely stopped working. So if your bed was in the seated position, it froze.
Yeah. I have one of the,
funny.
I don't have that brand, but I do have a bed that goes up and down.
Do you like those?
You know, I
You
do
must.
like it, except for when you accidentally hit a button in the middle of the night. If you leave the remote, this happened. Annie was completely asleep. I was watching something on the TV, rolled over, accidentally hit the remote. There's a button. It's like it's like the reading.
Oh my
The reading
gosh.
setting. And I'm not kidding you. The whole bed almost folded us completely into the thing.
That would have been
So you
entertaining.
gotta be careful with
Yes.
that.
Oh my
That's
God.
fair.
I woke up wondering what in the world.
That is hilarious. Well, they said that. Oh gosh.
Yeah, you better go
Sorry,
here.
just
Random
looked at
fact
the
time. Yep.
All right, hang on. And finally, in Sue's news, we have today's random fact. The Tony Awards are named after Antoinette Perry, a famous actress and director and the co-founder of the American Theater Wing. That is what the Tonys are named for. It's actually Antoinette.
Hold your thoughts on whatever else you were going to say. We got Alex. We're coming back with more after Fox Business. Hang in there.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Meta will lay off roughly 600 employees within its artificial intelligence unit as the company looks to be more agile, according to CNBC. Workers across Meta's AI infrastructure units will be impacted. Warner Brothers Discovery has rejected 3 Paramount Skydance takeover offers as it fields broad buyout interest, according to CNBC. Reuters on Tuesday reported WBD had rejected a bid for nearly $24 a share. Beyond Meat rallied for a third straight day as meme traders gobbled up shares. Shares of the plant-based food company surged 111% pre-market trading and finished up more than 10%. On Wall Street, stocks were lower, with the Dow falling more than 330 points, the S&P 500 off half a percentage point, and the Nasdaq losing close to 1%. Crude oil futures up 3.7% below $60 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Now that we're getting older, we've been putting more thought into maintaining our health.
We knew the water we drink every day could be filled with contaminants, so
we called Leaf Home Water Solutions.
they came to our home and did a free water test and gave us the analysis right away.
We were shocked at what we saw.
They found heavy metals like iron and copper.
Our own tap water was putting our health at risk, but Leaf Home Water Solutions made it easy to get safer water from every tap and hose. A whole home solution.
They have more than 250 product combinations and designed a system that fits our needs and budget. The installation took less than a day.
With Leaf Home Water Solutions, our water is safer and healthier. When we drink, when we cook, when we shower, even when we garden.
We feel better about our health.
Thanks to Leaf Home Water Solutions.
Schedule your free home water test today at leafhome.com/free and save 15% on all home water treatment systems. That's leafhome.com/free for your free home water test and 15% off. leafhome.com/free.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show at 4:33 sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Hey, it's John Lamping. Congratulations to 97.1 FM Talk on a quarter century as St. Louis's conservative thought leader. Whether it's breaking news or a thoughtful discussion on a complex issue, 97.1 is always my go-to. Looking forward to see what happens next.
Yeah, and John's going to be out there tomorrow for the birthday bash. We would love to have you there. You do need to RSVP at 971talk.com. There's a link up there. The VIP tickets are sold out. That's our understanding. I haven't checked the secondary market, but you might be able to find a few floating out there, or I may wander back and forth like a person hawking tickets tomorrow at the party. You never know. I might have to. I'm not doing it. It's not like it's my show tomorrow. It's going to be,
at least you're not bitter.
Co-opted by. I know, right?
Is your
It's
sign
not like
gonna
I'm bringing
say
it up.
gonna say selling tickets or need tickets?
It'll say both. That's what they do.
I never understand it.
Yeah, well,
you know?
because they're here. Can I explain it to you?
Yeah.
They want you to sell you your ticket so they can sell it to somebody else.
Okay.
Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yeah, a little, but I thought there was some
But-
law that said you can't stand and sell something that
They've
says
changed
I'm
all that.
Yeah,
They've
okay.
changed all that stuff. But I don't know how they do it. You know, it used to be with the hard tickets. Like I'll use Mizzou as an example. It was easy to flip tickets, and if you had an extra, you give it to a scout. No, not give it, but you sell it to a scalper and accept what they give it, and then they flip it. It was a little business model. But with all the digital tickets and everything, they're
gotta be
still
tough.
out there, but it's got to be really tough. Okay, just quickly before we get to Tony Vitello, who is a name in the news today. I just thought that this was funny, Fred, and I think you'll get a kick out of it because I love Ted, and he became a friend. Ted Melfi is a film director. He did a great movie with Bill Murray called St. Vincent. With I
loved that.
It was such a great movie. He played this
Melissa
crabby
McCarthy.
neighbor, Melissa McCarthy, and her son, and he ended up babysitting Melissa McCarthy's son, and it's just. In Ted, and we've shared this story, Ted tells this amazing story of how he connected with Bill Murray and then eventually picks up Bill Murray at LAX. They start heading toward Mexico, and they end up at a golf course in Mexico, and Bill Murray finally agrees to do the film. And it's just I can't even do it justice, right? But every once in a while, he'll still reach out. And like if I'm surfing late at night and I see Hidden Figures, it'll kind of remind me of him. And again, like I said, his story is weird too because his dad was in the mob, and he has has Missouri connections, which is why he sort of took to us, Fred, when
Right.
the movie came out, when St. Vincent came out. That's when we got to know him, and then Hidden Figures kind of put him in a different category. So I just get this email, and the subject matter is pickleball. Dearest friends and family, in a bizarre twist of fate, Kim and I have joined a group opening a pickleball club here in South Florida. The club is called Pompano Pickle, located in Pompano Beach, Florida, home of the famous, albeit unattractive, Pompano Fish. Neither of us have ever played pickleball, and to be clear, we have no intention to. But when strange opportunities knock, run away or not, which is what happened. And anyway, he's soliciting opinions on a logo for the pickleball club, and there's a Google Doc in here. But I
That's
just thought
funny.
that was
It
a very
is.
funny way. He's just looking at it for an investment. But I'm waiting to see what he's going to do next with movies. All right, this guy, Tony Vitello. I was unfamiliar with him. He's the Tennessee baseball coach, right? It is not very often, in fact, maybe never, Ethan and Alex, you'll have to tell me, that a collegiate level head coach, manager, if you will, goes to the professional ranks as the manager. And that's exactly what's happened here because he's been named the next manager of the San Francisco Giants. He not only played at Mizzou, but he's a local kid, right?
Local guy. Went to Dismet. His dad coached at Dismet forever. Vitello, soccer, baseball. The Vitello name is big in the coaching world in St. Louis. And, he is the first manager to go from college to the MLB without ever having another job in professional baseball.
Yeah,
at all.
it says, here's the New York Times covers, he has no professional experience as a player, having transitioned directly into coaching after playing at the University of Missouri. He will have to adjust to the brand new challenges of navigating a 162-game MLB schedule, soothing the egos of multimillionaire players, and managing a roster that is not of his own orchestration. But is it a strange, subject, or is it a strange pick? And I find it interesting, and I did not know this, because I always loved him as a player, but Buster Posey is the guy that kind of runs the Giants right now, right? Yeah, hang on, Ethan. I don't have the
He's
mic on
like
there.
the president
He's
of
the
baseball
president of
operations.
baseball
He's the president of baseball operations
Right.
for the San Francisco Giants. So your question, is it weird? Kind of, because we've never seen it before. But if there's anyone at the college level that was going to get a managerial position, it's Tony Vitello. I mean, you look at the resume that he has been able to build at Tennessee. Led them to their first ever national championship in 2024. He's been to 6 NCAA regional appearances. Get this, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. 5 super regionals and 3 College World Series appearances. So this is a guy that has Tennessee has always been a good baseball program, but he has taken them to the top of the college baseball
And might I
world.
also say, college baseball, people don't know this, is one of the hardest college sports to get to the final, I guess you would call it not the national championship even, but the College World Series as a whole. Like you just said, there's regionals, there's super, there's so many different rounds that you have to go to, and for him to do it consecutively is incredible. But you also talk about the Tennessee program, how it's changed over the years. Tony has been literally signing kids to come to Tennessee out of 8th grade.
Is
Wow.
Tennessee where our first draft pick came from this year?
Liam Doyle, yes,
Yeah.
Liam Doyle, the Cardinals' #1 pick. In fact, two Tennessee pitchers, the other one being Tanner Franklin. He was our 3rd round pick, I believe. So the Cardinals, added a couple of volunteers. But yeah, this is a program. You said it there, Alex, that has had a lot of success. Vitello has signed and developed 16 first-round MLB draft picks during his time with the Volunteers.
Well, he certainly caught some of the attention, and I'm not against unconventional picks for leadership. And there's no doubt, it's not like he's third base coach or something.
Yeah.
Nothing against third base coaches out there, but he has experience at a managing level, and sometimes you, to use a cliche, have to think out of the box. I mean, to a certain extent, the Cardinals did that with Matheny, right?
Yeah. I like this because you do hear about some coaches going, not necessarily in baseball, but you hear about basketball coaches, for example, going from the NBA to college, right? And this is the other way around. I think that this is great because he doesn't have to worry about recruiting anymore. He doesn't have to worry about all those things that go on off season. He's focused on just coaching baseball and doing his thing where, in college, you're out recruiting, you're traveling. Yes, there's more games, but you're probably on, it sounds crazy, you probably realistically are on the road a lot less because you're not recruiting as much.
There are not a lot of higher places you can go from where he was in Tennessee, but part of me wonders if, I mean, in a situation like that, you are so comfortable in what this is a risk for him. He has solidified himself in the college baseball world as one of the greats.
Yeah.
And now you're taking the chance
to lose to the Dodgers every single year.
But also having hardcore ridicule for the decision-making process that you go through.
You know why
now.
it's worth the risk? Probably about 6 or 7 zeros. That's why it's worth the risk.
Maybe, but I bet he was probably getting paid pretty good at Tennessee.
Not compared to what
no,
he's
man, you'd be
paid
like, I agree, but I also agree with Ethan here where, like, the NIL especially, like, Tennessee baseball has become the focus of Tennessee sports, and I think that, like, yeah, he could have just continued on with what he had done and he's already become a legend there. They'll probably build a statue of him there at some point, right? But now you got to really prove yourself, or you've got 3 or 4 years, and then you're looking for another job.
Well, I think it would probably be worth it for him. But, San Francisco is an interesting franchise to me, and this is kind of tapered off in the aftermath of the pandemic. But if you go back to the era between 2010 and 2020, you're probably better at the stats. It seemed like, they were always in contention, and when they weren't, they were in last place. Mm-hmm. And then they were all of a sudden back in first place and in contention, right?
It was in every other thing.
They
won in 10, 12, and 14. They knocked the Cardinals out in 2 of those years. I mean, you talk about the Cardinals and the historic team that the historic run that they went on from 2011 to 2015. The only reason that the Cardinals didn't have 3 world championships during that stretch is because of the San Francisco Giants.
And today, I guess, is the day that Albert Pujols interviewed for the Mike Schilt job in San Diego.
Oh, in San Diego. Yeah. So
the Angels said it wasn't.
I never heard
him.
about all this.
The Angels.
I heard a little bit. Can you fill me in?
Yeah. So I think it was just a week ago that Albert Pujols met with Artie Moreno here in St. Louis regarding that Los Angeles Angels managerial opening, and they ended up hiring Kurt Suzuki yesterday after the day before they had just been released that Pujols was not going to have that position. Baltimore and San Diego are 2 teams that have been rumored to be very interested in Pujols as their manager. Part of me wonders if it's a money thing. I mean, this dude has all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. And I want your opinion as a former collegiate baseball player. Well, I love Albert Pujols. The memories that he provided us here in St. Louis, I'll never forget the magic, right? But why do we think automatically that he would be a good manager?
I think we don't, and I think that's why the Cardinals have stayed away a little bit. Like, in my opinion, you bring Albert Pujols to coach. Say that you bring him here to coach the Cardinals, to manage the Cardinals. You bring Yachty to manage the Cardinals, whatever. For me, what good comes out of that? Like, there's a lot of good that could come out of it, yes. But there's, to me, more bad that can come out of it, because if he never comes back to the Cardinals and does anything ever again,
the legend is there.
The legend is there.
Solidified,
but
right.
God forbid you come back, you're a terrible manager, the team does not succeed, then you kind of put yourself in a position where, okay, now you're being judged from another perspective of, like, we don't care if he goes and manages another team and is terrible. We don't care.
Right.
But we do care if he comes here and he manages and the team's terrible. Don't you agree, Ethan?
Yeah, I would agree. It feels like that you're definitely running the risk of hurting some legacies. I'm also a big believer of, I don't want my manager being the piece of my team that's in the limelight. And here's the thing. I mean, we all know the legacies that they have in baseball in St. Louis. Every single move that they make, the attention would be on them rather than what is going on with the team. And I would be fearful that it, at least this early, if Albert Pujols were to, in 10 years, or Yachty or Molina, come and after having some managerial experience, becomes the manager of the Cardinals, then I think it makes a little bit more sense. It just feels too soon. You're too freshly removed from these guys being superstar players in St. Louis. I think you need to just kind of let that aspect of it cool down. Right now, to me, it just doesn't make sense.
You think he's going to get this, or are they just, look, it's Albert Pujols, so they're going to give him an interview, but is he going to get one of these gigs?
I think that how much money, how much career earnings does Albert Pujols have? This is the managerial position is the most demanding spot in baseball. These guys did this for 20 years. So part of me wonders, man, do they really want to get back into it this quickly? it's going to require a lot of money if that's the case. We'll see how much they're willing to pay these guys. And that's without having any managerial
experience. You bring
experience.
up a good point in that, because I think playing is totally different than managing. You're
first one in, last one out.
24 hours a day you're thinking about it.
Never stops.
When you're a player, you're just going in there. Yes, you're training and doing all these things, and you're watching film and whatnot, and you're studying analytics, but when you're a manager, you are doing so much more than just worrying about how you're playing yourself.
Exactly.
An interesting note about Pujols. I have a 48-year-old nephew who's Down syndrome, and maybe 2 Fridays ago was the Pujols Foundation prom.
And that's why he was in St. Louis.
And he was in town for that, and he was there talking, posing with my nephew, and looking good, and he just continues to do good things
in St. Louis as well, which you have to appreciate. At some point I could see it perhaps making sense. I just don't think right now is the time where it makes sense. Maybe it's also because we've seen, you said it, Mark, how many times have you seen successful former players become really good managers? It doesn't happen that often, and it didn't work in St. Louis.
Where I think it happens is with managers that weren't big stars when they were players, for whatever reason.
Right.
The skill set is different.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Watch out for some volume westbound 70 at Jennings Station Road, eastbound 2 for that matter. Some volume past the airport and in pockets out through Wentzville. 6440 is heavier than that. Kings Highway in pockets on out through the 70 split. Now southbound 270, slow pockets there as well. That's Page down through Gravois, 44 westbound slowing at 270. There's a pretty good jam going in the construction zone on southbound 55. South of Arsenal down through the area right by Bates. Accident reported on the Illinois side, Route 3 near Monsanto, and a jam there in both directions. And we've got heavy traffic eastbound as you head for the Poplar Street Bridge on the Missouri side. And then on the bridge itself, it's not too bad. 44 westbound slowing in front of the Arch grounds. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Climate Masters. We specialize in older homes. Climate Masters Heating and Cooling. Trusted heating and cooling installation and maintenance service. Keeping the St. Louis Metro comfortable since 1978. Call us today at 314-968-8383. Climate Masters.
This is Hans von Spakovsky, the Heritage Foundation. St. Louis would be a news desert if you didn't have the 97.1 Oasis to turn to every day for intelligent and informed information and news. Here's to the next 25 years.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Tune in to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Celebrate the spooky season with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. You can take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleanings. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the saving.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. Quo, formerly OpenPhone, gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. Quo lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? Quo automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With Quo's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions and use those insights to level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with Quo. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try Quo for free at quo.com/free and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's quo.com/free. QUO.com/free.
Let Banner Construction show you what a difference James Hardy can make to your home. Banner's exterior design team will show you custom design options to transform your home into the neighborhood showplace. Banner is a preferred James Hardy and Pella Windows specialist. With winter just around the corner, now is the time to think about Pella Windows for energy efficiency and comfort. Call Banner Construction, 314-569-1050 to schedule your free in-home consultation, or the website bannerconstruction.com, and have a banner day.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Sponsored by Progressive. We make the claims process easy so you can get back on the road in no time. It's why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive. See for yourself at Progressive.com.
Mark Reardon, Sue Thomas. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Hey, you guys remember a couple of months ago when we were talking, I think it's been a couple of months now, since we were talking about the Cracker Barrel kerfuffle and Julie Feist-Messina, who was the chief executive who was trying to make the logo change, and that didn't last very long. There was an interesting piece in the Wall Street Journal a couple of days ago about all this, and they were at this investor summit in New York on Tuesday. And, of course, what happened was, just as a refresher, Cracker Barrel replaced the logo featuring the man in overalls leaning against a barrel, and they reversed course in August because they the other new logo just featured the changed name. People got all crazy about it, and they went back because President Trump weighed in, etc. But what she told the people at the conference on Tuesday was what they were trying to do. And you remember this guy, Sardar Biglari. He has Steak and Shake. And remember, I even pointed this out at the time. Right. He was very aggressively critical of Cracker Barrel on the official Steak and Shake account. Well, he's a shareholder through his investment funds, and he was pissed about the way that, they were performing. And then when that happens, he decided to kind of go very aggressive after Cracker Barrel. But what they said was they were trying to do something to make the logo a little bit more understandable on a billboard, et cetera. And I guess they felt that was one of the reasons they wanted to do it, which doesn't really make sense. But she had worked at Starbucks and Taco Bell, and she goes into Cracker Barrel, and there's like this 3-year transformation, which included for paying for store remodels and menu upgrades and things like that. They were trying to court younger guests, and that was part of it. And I think we all understood that they were trying to do that. It's just that it did not appeal to the older guests very much, so they went back to the old way.
Did you see they've had some new commercials, new Cracker Barrel commercials,
like TV
during the playoffs?
No, I have not seen that.
Yeah, and they've got pictures of the food, and it looks really good still.
Well, I mean, again, what I said at the time was they probably have had better sales. I'd love to see this, and I'm sure that they're available in the last 2 months than they've had in a long time, because we were all talking about it. And here I am again talking about Cracker Barrel, and that wasn't something – the last time I talked about Cracker Barrel on the radio was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah. And the commercials feature 3 different people sitting in rocking chairs on the front.
Oh, wow, they're all in.
Well,
yeah. Makes sense.
But that's kind of poking fun at themselves a little bit, maybe, right?
I don't know. But like Sue said, they're all in again.
Yeah, they're
maybe
doubling
we should
down.
do a show trip to Cracker Barrel.
I have a follow-up on a story that we talked about yesterday. Remember the airplane that had the cracked windshield?
Yes.
In midair, and it had to, I guess it had to come down and land.
Yeah.
Apparently a silicone-based company in California admits we lost track of one of our weather balloons.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
We believe it was the weather balloon that could have
Holy
hit
cow.
the windshield of the airplane.
That really smacked it.
Yep, I did have my friend Larry, who went through the Greece trip with me. He is a pilot as well, and that's what he said. It was a weather balloon. That's kind of weird, though.
Yeah.
But at least someone fessed up, right?
Right?
Alex, you're going to be there at the birthday party tomorrow, right?
I'm going to be there. I'm going to hang out. So if people are coming, come on down.
Well, we hope we'll have a great turnout. Looks like the weather's going to be great. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
See you then.
All right.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Accident on the Illinois side, Route 3 near Monsanto, and a jam in both directions. Also some volume eastbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound 64 on the Illinois side. Really slow, just past Highway 50 in the construction zone. On the Missouri side, westbound 70. Slow pockets approaching Jennings Station Road out through the 70 split. It's a little slower on 64. And it's heavy between Kings Highway and McCausland, and then pockets on out through 70. Southbound 270 slowing, and it's mainly from Page down through Doherty Ferry. A little slow at Gravois. At 55 is really slowing in the construction zone. It's near Arsenal, down through Bates. And if you are traveling through North County, everything's fine. It looks great up there. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
You know, if you're getting closer to retirement and you think, okay, all right, we've been doing well, we've saved. Here's the thing. Do you know if you have enough money to get you through retirement? What you need is an actual written financial plan in place. Otherwise, that just makes me nervous. You're just essentially winging it. And if you don't know the ins and the outs of the tax code in retirement and how money works and when you should take Social Security, go to this class. It's put on by financial and tax architects. It's for adults. It's called Retirement Planning 101. And they hold these classes at colleges and universities all over the area. And it's 2.5 hours. And you sit there and learn. And you can start to understand how retirement works and how much money you need to do it. And then you can see how financial and tax architects work and whether or not you want them to help you. So call today. It's free to go to a class, 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101.
My friend Duane Patterson, who writes at hotair.com, the host of the Duane's World podcast, is coming up after Fox News.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Our firm handles hundreds of crash cases involving semi-trucks every year. A crash case involving semis is much different, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can leave lots of money on the table. Many times there is separate insurance for the cab and for the trailer. Sometimes there are actually layers of other insurances and excess insurance that some lawyers may not know about because they don't see that many cases. We see these cases every day. Also, there are federal laws governing the hours a driver may drive in a 24-hour period and logs that are required. A crash case involving a semi-truck is a totally different animal than a simple car crash. We have lawyers who only handle these cases. It's all they do. Rolling the dice with the wrong law firm can be disastrous. Call us on your cell phone at Pound Law, pound 529. It's so easy.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It's time for you to get to know my friends at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield, where luxury meets comfort. Mark Cox here. They have a great selection of rare bourbons, whiskeys, craft cocktails, anything you like to drink, cold beer, premium hand-rolled cigars from the finest makers in the world, even private lockers that are available if you choose to. Perfect for date nights or business meetings, and live music every Friday night. Family owned and operated. Check them out in Chesterfield at the District. It's litstl.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
New crackdowns on Russia. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announcing the new sanctions against Russia's two biggest oil companies, telling Larry Kudlow on Fox Business.
This will be
one of the largest sanctions that we have done against the Russian Federation.
Besson calling for an immediate ceasefire. At the White House, President Trump meeting this hour with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. The president saying the time is right for the new round of sanctions, and again saying Ukraine will not have access to long-range Tomahawk missiles from the U.S.
The problem with the Tomahawk that a lot of people don't know, it'll take a minimum of 6 months, usually a year, to learn how to use them. They're highly complex. So the only way a Tomahawk is going to be shot is if we shot it. And we're not going to do that.
And the president saying it didn't feel right to have a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, so he canceled it. On the trade war with China, the president said he has a long meeting scheduled with President Xi Jinping during his upcoming trip to South Korea. The Justice Department and the University of Virginia have reached an agreement that will put an end to investigations in the university.
The University of Virginia and DOJ have agreed to a deal that Justice says will protect UVA students, faculty, and employees from violations of federal civil rights laws. It's part of President Trump's push to end DEI practices, and without that deal, UVA could have lost federal funding. Other schools like Columbia have had to pay financial settlements to resolve their cases with the feds, but under this deal, UVA has to agree to not engage in what the DOJ calls unlawful racial discrimination in its admissions and hiring practices, and in return, the department will close its investigations into UVA.
Fox's Jill Nato, and the Senate fails for the 12th time to end the government shutdown. America's listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our classic fall weather pattern continues. Crystal clear skies, a tumble into the 50s this evening. Sweater weather. It's cold overnight, 43 for the low. Some heaters may be clicking on. Thursday, lots of sunshine, light winds all day long. 66 Thursday night, clear 41. Friday, increasing clouds, but a dry day and a chilly 60 degrees. Just a couple of spotty showers around Friday night and over the weekend. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, we have the big birthday party coming up tomorrow. 25 years on the air. It was actually last Thursday was the date-specific 25th birthday of 97.1 FM Talk going on the air in the year 2000. We're going to visit with some of the people that made it happen over the years, including the guy that shifted shows with me. Dave Glover went over to KMOX. It was like a trade. I never forget. I was about to hit golf balls, and my bosses called, and they said, "Are you ready for this? We're going to flip your show with Glover's show," and I was getting sent over here with a player to be named later, I think, or something like that. That might have been Fred. And Glover goes to KMOX, but he's going to swing by for a visit. John Beck, who is the general manager, and really a radio legend here. John is in St. Louis for all he accomplished, and he just recently retired. Mark Cox's gonna co-host the show with me. Annie will be there. We'll have the entire team, Sue and Fred and Ethan. We have Congressman Onder stopping by and a bunch of other folks. So it starts tomorrow from the Lit Cigar Lounge in the district out in Chesterfield. Get off at Boones Valley. You can't miss us. We'll be on the air from 3 to 6. I think the party officially goes to 7 or 7:30 or until it's over, right? You know, who knows? We'll figure it out. We're just going to have a good time tomorrow afternoon with everyone out there showing up. If you don't have VIP tickets, those are sold out. We're joined right now by Duane Patterson, who writes at hotair.com. He's the host of the Duane's World podcast. I wish we could fly you in there from Southern California, get you to the party tomorrow. But
well, that would be kind of fun, actually. I happy anniversary, and I was wondering if there was any draft picks involved in the trade.
It is this radio station is very unique, and for many years when the ownership wasn't the same, I was competing against this radio station, doing afternoon drive on KMOX, and I was always kind of looking behind my shoulder, saying, "What the heck is this kind of upstart?" There's a lot of radio stations that start with a goal of having really good ratings and building an audience, and they fail, Duane, as you know. And this one had just amazing success. And I've said this before, and you've been around a lot of legendary talk show hosts and stations. But, Duane, swear to God, having worked at two heritage stations, WTMJ and KMOX, I've never had an audience that is this loyal, this smart, this engaged. It's very unique. So while we don't have, maybe we call this cume in radio, the biggest hundreds of thousands of listeners like maybe KMOX had in the heyday with the Cardinals, maybe a smaller number of listeners, but man, are they loyal. It's unbelievable. And it's really inspirational.
Yeah, it is. It very much can be. That's kind of like how Hugh Hewitt's audience is. We're not the biggest show in the country, but what we are is among the more influential because we've got such a loyal listenership, and they get it. And that's what you get when you've been on the air for a long time. If you've been doing this for 25 years roughly, it's you start to build an audience, and they tend to be pretty loyal to you. And yeah, there is nothing like brand loyalty when you're in that chair. So congratulations.
Yeah, we love it. And I can't wait to see the listeners tomorrow. Speaking of Hugh, I know that he talked about this. I haven't touched on this today. This is very bizarre. Jen Psaki, who is on some podcast.
I think the little Manchurian candidate, J.D. Vance, wants to be president more than anything else. Yeah. I always wonder what's going on in the mind of his wife. Like, are you okay? Please blink 4 times.
Yes.
We'll come over here. We'll save you. And that he's willing to do anything to get there. And he's young.
Yeah. And ambitious.
And agile in the sense that he is a chameleon who makes himself into whatever he thinks the audience wants to hear from him.
Okay, whatever. But taking a shot at Usha there and saying that, they want to try to save her from the evil J.D. Vance. What the hell was that about?
Well, you see, 1, it's vile. 2, it's repulsive. 3, it's what you expect with an increasingly uncivil left. And what makes this so remarkable is on that same network, this is on a podcast, but Jen Psaki's on MS dash whatever the hell they're calling it now, right?
right, yeah.
And so she's on MS something, and her colleague on MS something is Nicole Wallace, who had on Jeff Daniels, he of Dumb and Dumber fame, right? And Jeff Daniels brings his acoustic guitar as though he's going to lapse into James Taylor at any given moment. And Jeff Daniels is just lamenting the fact that there's no civility on the right. There's no civility with this president. He does this AI video after the No Kings protests and does this AI video of him in a cockpit of a fighter dumping stuff on rally goers. And we need more civility in this country. At the same time, on the same network, a colleague of his is insinuating that J.D. Vance is an abusive husband and that Usha is in a domestic disturbance situation and needs to blink for help. Which is so repulsive about this, because if you remember when Charlie Kirk got assassinated, right, in the days, especially the week afterwards, you know who was wrapping herself around Erica Kirk to help her get through that every day? That was Usha Vance.
Yeah. I mean, and I can't even imagine going through being the spouse of someone like that who is in a high-profile position.
She was a rock.
Right.
She was a rock, and you don't get that by being a battered spouse syndrome person. That is a very strong marriage. It's just an outrageously cheap thing to do. Now, why did she do it? She did it because the left is starting to give up on fighting Trump. I mean, they're going to keep flailing away at Trump, but they're giving up. They're worried about the next one. They're
Sounds
worried
like
about
it. Yeah.
They're terrified of. We don't have anything on our side to counter J.D. Vance because he's a force in nature in his own right, and so now they're trying to tear him up before we get to that election.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. Now, this is the other story today. I just love this one, Duane. I have to tell you, they're going so, bat blank crazy. I have lefty friends on Facebook. I typically, 90% of the time, I don't comment on things political because Facebook is a cesspool, right? And I post pictures of my bunny and my grandson and my daughter and my animals and all that. But I happened to go on there the last couple of days, and I saw a bunch of people that are writing stuff. They're horrified by this, this East Wing makeover. Here's Joe Scarborough.
It's hard to believe that any president could destroy the White House.
You can't help but wonder if he didn't wait until these protests were already done before today he started literally physically tearing down the White House.
Previously said that the ballroom's construction would not affect the existing building here. Clearly not the case.
All right. Well, first of all, several lies. He's not tearing down the White House. You can look at an overhead map of where the East Wing is and where the West Wing is. They're on the far sides of the White House. They're tearing down a small portion of what was now the East Wing to build a ballroom. It sounds pretty legit. Oh, they're using taxpayer. Oh, no, they're not using taxpayer dollars, are they? It's private donations. It's ridiculous, the reaction to this thing.
You think a Democrat president somewhere down the road, God forfend, but do you think someday when a Democrat gets back in the White House, they're going to say, yep, we're going to tear down that ballroom, or are they going to use it?
They're going to love it because they're going to see how beautiful it is and how they can use it for bigger state dinners. This is what I said to a left-wing friend of mine out in your neck of the woods on Facebook. I said, okay, let me try this a different way. Let's just say for a moment, because what I said to him at first was, oh, yeah, you guys are all upset over a long overdue process. He goes, long overdue? I've never, had anyone make the case for this. I said, all right, let's look at it from a different perspective. Let's just say that there are spots in the White House that maybe need a little tidying up and some changes. Why is it so horrifying to you that we're spending money that's not from the taxpayers to make that portion of the White House where we do hold state dinners nicer for the rest of the future? I mean, there's renovation after renovation that happens. Selena Zito was on. I played the cut of her. When Jackie O redid the interior, they did a damn live TV special on her.
Yes, they have. Harry Truman gutted the entire inside. I mean, the only thing that existed when Harry Truman was there was the outer walls. The whole interior got completely redone.
But these people, Duane, they're going, I mean, this is, I've seen, and you've seen Trump derangement syndrome at Hall of Fame levels. This one has pushed them over the top even more for whatever reason. They like to put the picture up there. Look at what he's doing. It's symbolic of what he's doing to the country.
It is so over the top. I mean, that's the TDS is what's driving the government shutdown still, right? I mean, you saw what happened over the last 24 hours in the Senate, right?
Well,
you didn't, did you?
I've seen some reference to people tying shoes during filibusters and things like that.
Okay, but you know what actually just happened, right?
I don't. I might not.
Okay, Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley late last night, takes to the floor. Now, they've got a lot of open floor time now because they're not really doing anything, right?
Right.
And they were going to hold a vote yesterday to try to reopen the government again and force the Democrats to walk out onto the plank to screw over military and federal workers again. And Jeff Merkley took to the floor and started talking and started a good old-fashioned talking filibuster. He went for 22 hours consecutive to block the Senate from holding a vote to block the government from reopening. So we now have taken the stupidity of TDS in trying to hold the country hostage to stop Trump. We now are taking that stupidity and squaring it by filibustering the Senate to keep them from filibustering the country from reopening.
It's bizarre.
It's maddening.
It is madness.
Just maddening.
Okay,
it's stupid squared.
And so because of that, I believe that makes the Trump administration and many of us say, all right, keep it closed. You guys, we're the ones voting to keep it open, so let's see where this takes us. And I don't want people to not get paid, especially members of the military, but I'm so sick and tired of their whining on the other side and misrepresentation and hypocrisy. That's why I have 0 Fs to give on any of this because of their behavior. I don't care. Keep it closed through the rest of the year.
I don't want it to go that long because I don't want the military to get paid.
Well, I get that aspect, but
I want the Republicans to be the grown-up party. I want them to pull the nuclear option on the one standing rule that allows them to do CRs. If it's a clean CR and they change that from a 60 vote to a 51 vote on that clean CR, and I've talked to Jim Talent about this. He's totally on board with this as well. If we can make that one change, then government shutdowns, especially the stupid ones that have nothing to do with anything,
that wouldn't happen.
They go away.
Right.
You can still filibuster the appropriations bills and all the other legislation. You can still do the normal 60-vote stuff on it. But you take away the political stunt out of it, and you defang the entire fever swamp on the left from being able to hold the country hostage.
So why not do that? Duane Patterson is back with me from hotair.com and the Duane's World podcast. Even John Fetterman said, yeah, let's do that.
They're afraid if they do that, that opens the Pandora's box for the Democrats, getting rid of the legislative filibuster when they get in power. They're going to do that anyway.
Well, they will.
So why not be the grown-ups and say, okay, if the Democrats are going to take their ball and go home, we're going to at least have the country go on and work and get people paid, and we're just going to change this one rule, and we're going to throw all the issues back in the committees where they belong and hammer out the health care thing, hammer out whatever else has to be fixed. But it's time to get back to work and quit playing games.
Yeah, it seems, look, even I mentioned Fetterman. Fetterman was honest about it. He goes, look, we campaigned on these issues, right? Why should we not support getting rid of the filibuster, especially on this issue?
Yeah. I mean, again, the day will – I've said this 1,000 times. The day will come when I go back to disagreeing with everything John Fetterman says. But today is not that day.
So you had to have illustrated, and this was written by David Strom, who was on my show last night. I love Dave over at Hot Air. But this tweet that went out from Senator Amy Klobuchar, which says early retirees like Bill and Shelley, and we have a picture of young Bill and Shelley. And I say young because they're not even over 60 years old, but they're going to see their health insurance premiums increase nearly 300% from $442 to $1,700 per month if congressional Republicans refuse to extend the enhanced tax credits. That's an extra $15,000 a year families can't afford. Of course, this is a couple that seems to be pretty well off. They retired in their early 50s. They don't work. They make $136,000 a year off a pension and IRA savings. That's probably a lowball amount because of the deductions. It's probably closer to $170 a year, and they want $15,000 a year from the taxpayers for their health care. That's their poster child.
Dear Bill and Shelley, is that who you said they are?
I think their names are. Let's make sure here. Bill and Shelley. It is Bill and Shelley. Yes.
Dear Bill and Shelley, I'm sorry Obamacare was the train wreck that we told you it would be. I'm sorry Democrats crammed it through on a partisan vote. I am sorry that in the COVID year, the Democrats jammed through a 5-year-long subsidy to make the program appear to be affordable when it no longer is. I'm even sorrier now that the 5 years has expired because of a Democrat partisan hand that you are going to be faced with the responsibilities of what happens when you vote for Democrats. Signed, every single Republican except Thomas Massey.
Well, that's true. You got it nailed down on that for sure. Duane Patterson, always great to have you on. I appreciate you. Have a great week, and we'll talk next week.
You too. Take
All right,
care.
see you later.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, let's see what the latest is from MoDOT. They are saying that there was a stall westbound 70 past Jennings Station Road, but it has been moved off to the shoulder. So if you are on westbound 70, just moderate volume there and in pockets on out through Wentzville. 64 is still lined up, though, and this is approaching Kings Highway. out past McCausland, and then it pockets out through 70. The innerbound southbound slowing from Olive through 64. Southbound 270 slow pockets, but that's Page down through Gravois before it opens up. And southbound traffic on 55 is slow, but it's the usual. In the construction zone from near Arsenal through Bates before it opens up. Now, if you're headed into Illinois, there's some volume. Eastbound 6440 on the Missouri side, headed for the bridge. But on the bridge itself, it's fine. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Dwayne would like you to know that I potted him down before he got his hi Sue in there because he did say hi Sue. So he texted me to make sure that was in there, and we thank him.
Brought to you by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating.
Scott Lee Heating's Premier Dealer distinction means you'll be working with the best the industry offers. Learn more about our special savings opportunities on Lennox products by calling 314-756-9444 or visit us online at scottleeheating.com.
You know, there are things that happen in the course of life that are not very comfortable. And I mentioned a couple of months ago, I had noticed that there were two friends who I had not really communicated with for a while. And I'm pretty good, actually, about being the proactive person in those situations and, checking in. Well, in both those situations, they were both going through a divorce. And I had not known, it's not something that you spread and say, hey, I'm going through a divorce. So it's a very difficult thing to go through. It is not as difficult if you have someone like Susan L. Ward on your side. You need someone who has the grit, the determination, the experience that Susan has, because it is such an emotional, area of the law, and kids are involved. That's where it really gets tricky. My kids were very young at the time. Susan and her team have focused exclusively on family law issues for 2 decades plus. They have a brand new office, by the way, in De Pere at Manchester and 270. They're very proud of that. But if you need any help with either the end of a marriage or things that happen in the aftermath of divorce, modification to, any kind of things, child support, there's all kinds of stuff that gets into play, grandparent visitation. It gets very complicated. You need competent, experienced legal assistance. That's what you're going to get with the law firm of Susan L. Ward, LLC. STLFamilyLaw.com or call 314-783-9400.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Lights flickering?
Grasser can fix it.
Breaker keeps tripping?
That's a Grasser job.
Outlet not working?
Grasser makes it right.
Old wiring need a rewire?
Grasser rewires with care.
From little fixes to major fixes.
Even the tricky ones.
We treat your home like our own.
Treat? Did you say treat? Woof.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
The ACA Marketplace has announced significant increases on their monthly premiums for 2026, with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Greg Hammond's Freedom of Choice plans now. You don't have to wait. One of their plans lets you use any doctor, has 0 outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower costs than most Obamacare plans. Other options are full coverage PPOs with national networks, copays, and 100% annual preventative care. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg and they'll provide all available options. Call 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
For 25 years, the Warner's Warm-Up Coat Drive has been a dependable resource for impoverished men, women, and children in the bi-state. Together Credit Union is proud to team up with the Kurt Warner First Things First Foundation and Operation Food Search for the 25th Annual Warner's Warm-Up Coat Drive. From October 20th to November 2nd, new and gently used winter clothes of all sizes will be collected at all 14 Together Credit Union locations to help keep our neighbors warm during the cold winter months. For more information and a full list of donation locations, visit kurtwarner.org.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I'm gonna go over this story about the Gauls, Bill and Shelley here, because I think it's important. And when your left-wing friends start complaining about how poor people aren't going to have health insurance, remind them of this story. By the way, the other thing that I like to point out, because this gets used and it will be used, they'll talk about how Republicans are going to take your insurance away, and that you won't have coverage if you have a pre-existing condition. Well, if you, this will come as a surprise to a lot of people. I think the year was 1997, but they passed a bill in 1997, Sue, that said that if you don't gap your insurance, right? If you have insurance, maybe you lose your job, but you have COBRA, you get some more insurance, right? If you don't gap your insurance, which most responsible adult people do, you will not be not covered for pre-existing conditions. The Democrats have lied about this for years, saying, you won't have, if you don't gap, if you keep your insurance, because you see what might happen in the other situation. I have insurance. No, I don't have it. But if I get sick, if I get cancer or anything that happens, well, I'm just going to sign up for insurance, right? That's not how it works, right? That's a little different than the way that even the ACA works. But a lot of people on the other side that love to lie about the pre-existing conditions stuff, I'm surprised we're not hearing that right now. But let's talk about Bill and Shelley, because we're very worried about their increase from $442 to $1,700 a month. This is a couple that retired in their early 50s. They don't work. They live off the money off pension and IRA. God bless them for retiring early. I wish I could do it right. They had a modified adjusted gross income of $123,000 in 2023 and $136,000 in 2024. Pensions and IRA withdrawals, et cetera. But again, that's probably not even what they bring in, because after deductions, it's probably $170,000 or more. So as Mr. Strom pointed out at hotair.com, this is Amy Klobuchar in his state. He's up in Minnesota, offering what she thinks is a sob story of ordinary people who are going to be harmed by what will happen if the subsidies expire, which, by the way, have nothing to do with this continuing resolution. That's an issue that the Democrats put into the legislation during the pandemic, and then they extended it again. It was always intended to be short time. Now they're up for renewal, and they're worried because people's premiums are going to go up. Because, by the way, Bill and Shelley were getting a hell of a deal, and they are on their insurance. So now it's going to double. But the story says this. The average ACA marketplace enrollee faces a 114% increase in premium payments without the enhanced subsidies. But older middle to high income adults who are too young to qualify for Medicare face the largest dollar increases in premium payments, according to the analyses. They are perhaps the most vulnerable population when it comes to expiring subsidies. So did you hear what that was saying?
Yeah.
Older rich people, older white rich people are the ones that are going to get hit here. I thought the Democrats were kind of looking out for the people who need help and the poor people, not making the case for the rich people who retire earlier, right?
Yeah.
The average household with employer coverage, which we have here, it's about 2% of annual income on premiums in 2024. In the same year, the ACA capped premiums at 8.5% of a household's income. But Bill is quoted as saying, look, people like us, we need insurance. And it says if the Gauls family health insurance premiums jump and their medical expenses remain steady, the tally would likely represent more than a quarter of their annual income. With significantly higher health premiums, the couple said they would have to make tough financial and lifestyle decisions. How about you retire after the age of 60? Maybe you wait until 65. If you're not prepared and you have to make lifestyle changes after you're living high on the hog, living on the beach, and we have to pay for their lifestyle, sorry, that's not any empathy that I'm going to offer. I think that this is a legitimate issue for Republicans and Democrats to talk about after we open the government again. Senator Thune, the majority leader, has made it very clear. President Trump has made it very clear. So, to Duane's point, they wrote Obamacare, the Democrats did. They passed it without one Republican vote. They created the credits without a single GOP vote. They extended the credits and chose this expiration date of December with no GOP votes, and it's the Republicans' fault. And it's the Republicans' fault always, but of course, the legacy media will never explain to you that side of the story that I just did.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We've got some volume out there, but it's not unusual, at least on 44 westbound downtown in front of the Arch. It's a slow go there. Westbound 6440 lines up Kings Highway out through McCausland, but then it's slow pockets of moderate volume out through 70. 70 slowing at Jennings Station Road, and then in pockets out through 64. Southbound 170 still slowing, and it's south of Page down through 64. Eastbound 40 is slow on either side of 170. And southbound 270, slow pockets from Olive through Doherty Ferry. Northbound is pretty slow at Manchester. And 55 is slowing south of Arsenal into the construction zone. If you're headed into Illinois, there's a little volume on 64 headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, but fine on the bridge itself. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
In the 70s, baseball player Jerry Kelly decided to do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
This year, the company Jerry started decided we'd do something different.
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air and Electrical.
And electrical.
JerryKelly.com.
Well, if you've ever heard of the Show Me Institute, you probably heard about it here on 97.1 FM Talk. It's a think tank here in the St. Louis area, and they do great work on issues that are important to many of us here on 97.1 FM Talk. But the good news is that you can also use them as a resource. All you got to do is go to showmeinstitute.org. They have a great blog up there. They do have events for local speakers. You know, like Kevin Hassett is one of the chief economic advisors for President Trump. You probably see him. He's got an interesting voice, Kevin Hassett. Well, the Show Me Institute brought Kevin in a few years ago for an event to speak about the economy and finances in the government, and it was awesome. They do that all the time, and you can even, check things on the website for events that are coming up. You can explore a lot of topics up there: healthcare, education, economy, state and local government. They have school rankings. They're awesome, and they're a great resource for us and for you. Show Me Institute at theshowmeinstitute.org.
No need to get technical on heating and cooling. We all want our houses to cool, correct? When it's heating season, we want them to heat, correct? There's not much more to it than that, but I can give you some pointers and tips on the efficiencies, meaning the efficiencies of your house. What you can do to make your house more efficient, and then deciding on what system to purchase, therefore maximizing every single dollar you spent for a furnace and air conditioner. Not spending maximum dollars on a furnace and air conditioner because you're told of an efficiency rating, and that's it. So again, a common sense approach. When you start getting prices for new furnace and air conditioners, call me. It's one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. Again, Missouri and Illinois, the only number, 314-293-2600. Again, that's 314-293-2600, or on the internet, it is bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We've been here to talk about it with you for 25 years. Celebrating 97.1 FM Talk's 25th birthday this month.
Yep, tomorrow is the big birthday party. Love to see it. Lit Cigar Lounge out in the district in Chesterfield. It's right there at Boone's Crossing, where The Factory, which is an outstanding music venue, they do comedy there and other things as well. That's where we brought Brian Kilmeade in the spring, and that's where Topgolf is out there. So that's like the opposite end of your existence here in St. Louis, right?
Yep, that's okay.
It's like way across. You have to adjust some times. You and Fred will have to do some travel times out there to Chesterfield, right?
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah, I would argue that the way to the remote will be very easy, but then when we get off, although the party, you're going to hang out at the party a little bit, right?
Yeah, so it'll be later than rush hour.
Yeah, I'm told we have 250 8x10s of Sue that she has pre-signed, and then she'll sign whatever else you bring
that is,
for her tomorrow.
We don't have
as
any
well.
shots of any of
us. Oh, you don't
least
think we
of all
do?
Me.
No, we really don't, because we have no resources for stuff like that, right? You remember when we used to have that stuff? The good old days.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, Jeff Mordock is back with us. He is the White House correspondent for the Washington Times. Jeff, I'm surprised you can even join us and be a White House correspondent, because I've been told by the legacy media that the White House is gone. It's been destroyed. Trump has taken it down. It's never to be seen again, right? That's what I understand.
Yeah, it's just an empty hole. We don't even have a place to go now. We're just kind of wandering around. Well, just before you called, I just got out of the Oval Office where the president met with reporters, and he gave his strongest defense of the demolition of the East Wing so far, saying that the plans had to change because he was talking to architects, and the architects recommended the best course of action was to take part of that East Wing down. And then the president also got into about how, it's really a small portion of the East Wing that has been changed over the years. It was recently renovated as recently as, the 90s, going back to the 40s, there have been renovations to that area, and this isn't really anything new. And that was the strongest defense we've seen from the president as criticism of this project continues to mount.
But, Jeff, I don't know if you have this perspective or not, but and I made the mistake yesterday, I've admitted this a couple of times, I went on Facebook. You go on and you see some of the posts that people are putting on social media where they're acting like the whole White House is just being torn down. It's a piece of history. And then you kind of start looking at the history, and the history's changed a little bit at the White House over the last 250 years, I would say. And it's just, their heads are exploding because it's all about Trump and the hatred toward Trump. I said to a couple of people, just to try to be reasonable, friends of mine say, hey, can we maybe take a step back and say, perhaps there were some renovations that were needed for this portion of the White House, which, by the way, as you know, Jeff, the West Wing is on one side of that piece of property, the East Wing on the other side. The White House is right there in the middle, right? They're not tearing any of that down.
That's exactly right. The White House is in the middle. Yes, the East Wing, which is the side sort of for big events. As a matter of fact, I go to the Christmas party every year. That's hosted in the East Wing. All the work is done on the West Wing. It is more of the social aspect of the White House. And that's why the president feels that's where the ballroom needs to go, because that is where they're hosting the social events. When they have world leaders come in, that is usually where the side where those events take place. All the business work, as a matter of fact, the desk for the reporters who work there where the briefings are, that's all in the West Wing. The president, the Oval Office is on the West Wing. And then kind of in the middle is the residence. But you're right. We have had, George W. Bush put in a jogging track. The Obamas put in a tennis court. Richard Nixon took out a swimming pool. Gerald Ford put in a swimming pool. We could go on with all the different presidents and all the different renovations that they've done over the history of the White House.
So once you get to the point with the lefties and you say, it's not even taxpayer money that's being used here. They say, what's bribes? Who's paying for it? Where's the money coming from? That's their initial reaction. So did those questions come up at all today?
Those questions have come up, and to be honest, to be fair, the White House has not answered most of those questions. They have not. The president has said it's being paid for by private donors, but we don't have a list of those private donors yet. He has said he's paying for it with his money. He has not told us how much of his money he's putting in. So there's still a lot the White House does need to tell us about where this is headed and where some of the money's coming from. But it is private donations. They've been adamant that this is not going to cost taxpayers any money. And I think that's a really important thing. And I think that's a really important thing that your listeners should know, that it's not going to cost any money. And because of that, one of the criticisms you see online is, well, they didn't get permission from the National Capital Planning Commission. But the National Capital Planning Commission really only has to weigh in if we're using taxpayer dollars. Since we're not, you can circumvent that process.
Yeah, that's interesting. And look, what you just said here a couple of minutes ago, it's completely legitimate for you and other members of the White House press corps to ask for and to be given the receipts on who is paying for this and how this is all coming together. That's part of your job. So I don't think that that's unreasonable, and I would encourage the administration to cooperate on that front. But that's an interesting point about, the commission and maybe a different protocol for something like this if taxpayer dollars were on the line.
Well, that's correct. And one thing I find very funny is the people who are complaining about this are demanding it goes before the National Planning Commission. The National Planning Commission right now is run by Will Scarf, who's a White House aide. He has been in charge of this, and he's a very close Trump associate. So this idea that this is going to go through there and they're going to be the stop is kind of silly, because when you see Trump sign executive orders, Will is the one who hands him the executive orders.
Yeah.
He's the guy you think
he's our guy here from Missouri.
Yeah.
We know Will very well, Sharp, because he ran for attorney general, so he's very well known here, and we're very proud that he's the guy up there with the markers.
So, it's kind of silly that once it goes to the National Planning Committee, the critics' stories are going to change from they didn't send it to the National Planning Commission to the National Planning Commission's a rubber stamp. You can't win.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, while I have you here, Jeff Mordock is the White House correspondent for the Washington Times. Anything that is shaken right now on the shutdown? I guess the Democrats had a little bit of a filibuster in the Senate last night. The Trump administration doesn't appear to be giving any inches right now. They're saying, look, we're going to have these discussions about the ACA subsidies after we pass the CR. Any movement on this right now?
No, and it's in nobody's right now. It's in nobody's interest to reopen the government. That's why this has dragged on as long as it has. The Democrats, it's in their interest to keep it shut down because then they can talk about how awful and evil Trump is. He's keeping the government shut down. And for Trump, it's a chance to seize funding and fire workers that he doesn't think are working, funding that's going to Democratic cities, funding that he thinks is a waste of taxpayer dollars, and it gives him an opportunity to do that. So it's in his best interest to keep this going. So that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen a breakthrough, because I kind of thought we would see maybe the Democrats fold a little bit after the No Kings protests have kind of came and went. But no, it still seems like they're sticking. And the president is adamant he's not going to meet with anybody, as you said, until you get a CR passed.
So what's the end game? Because now I'm hearing, and I had Kilmeade on earlier this afternoon as well. He's the first one that told me last week. He's here. Maybe this goes on till Thanksgiving. There's not going to be a buckling on the part of the Republicans, and the Democrats are going to have to be the side that's going to give here. Can you get a few more to come on over and, use common sense and say, okay, we have a commitment? I mean, why is it so bad that Thune offers this commitment to have these discussions and insist that they're going to do it? If he doesn't do it, then you have a story, right? You pass the CR and they say, okay, Republicans reneged on this deal. But I don't see that happening. They'll have these discussions. There are Republicans in districts across the country that could potentially be affected by these changes.
Well, and one of the things I think is really interesting is Ron Johnson's got a bill out there now that's getting a lot of support to start paying federal workers. And once the federal workers are getting paid and the government shut down, how are the Democrats going to go up against that bill? That's going to be a real publicity problem for them.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, it will be. And then as far as members of the House, are they even there right now?
No, they are not there right now. They not really sure why not. They should be there. They should be working through this. But no, to answer your question, they're not.
They're not there. Okay. Well, we'll see where this takes us. Jeff Mordock from the Washington Times. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on this afternoon.
Thanks, Mark. Always enjoy coming on.
Take care. Let me get to some of the audio from some of the nonsense that's been going on here in the last couple of days, and I'll start with J.B. Pritzker, and this kind of goes off the topic of the shutdown and everything, but he's something else. He really is. And this notion of comparing anything, and Democrats are so comfortable with this soon, I don't really get it. The notion of comparing anything in 2025 with the great freedom and lives that we enjoy in this country, which I'm proud of every day, and it seems like the other side is not, to make any references or comparisons to Nazi Germany and what happened during the Holocaust are completely inappropriate.
Yes.
But the fat ass over there in Illinois, he keeps doing it.
We have to save this country from what Donald Trump is doing to it, because no, I do not want this country to become like other authoritarian regimes. People have criticized me for talking about the Nazi regime on the right.
Yes,
people have criticized me. It's the one I know most about because I helped to build a Holocaust museum, and I can tell you, sitting next to Holocaust survivors, that what they will say in this moment is, this is what happened. This is what happened. People's rights started getting taken away. People got accused of being immigrants. This is before the Holocaust really took place. People were accused of being immigrants, and then laws were passed to limit immigrants, and then people who weren't actually immigrants were called immigrants, and then it was othering people, and that led to a lot worse things.
Well, I don't even know what the hell he was trying to make a point of there. I mean, the immigration issue in and of itself is very simple. It is extremely simple. If you're not legally in this country, you need to go back and come through the proper channels, okay?
Yes.
And if you're a criminal in particular, we do not want you back. What rights are being taken away from anyone? What rights in particular? This is what I loved about the No Kings rally. You have so many rights and freedoms. You go out there and make a buffoon of yourself, holding signs, be clowning yourself. Go for it. I mean, that's your right. But what is the point of it all? And we're all right. You have so many rights in this country that are not being taken away. You know when your rights were taken away? During COVID. And unfortunately, Trump was part of that because it was new. But the Biden administration took it somewhere else. You were forced to mask up when you went to the freaking beach.
I know.
You think your rights are being taken away?
What I'm saying is that this is how authoritarian regimes do it. They create these kind of fake ideas that there's an enemy out there and it could be sitting next to you at one of these tables.
All right, let's stop right there.
What?
Okay, he's talking about immigrants. Look, he thinks their side, Democrats, are for open borders, all right? And if you're a Democrat who's not for that, and we do have some sane people who come on our show, well, you need to make that clear because your people, your side, your leader, drooling on himself for 4 years, allowed, and I think 12 million is a low number, let's say it's just 12 million. Let's say it's 10 million. Let's go low.
Okay.
That crossed the border over 3.5 years. And now those crossings are down to pretty much nothing.
Yep.
And we were told by these esteemed Democrat leaders who now want to make this about, something else with the shutdown and get apoplectic about renovations to the White House. The things that they said during that time are embarrassing in the stances that they took. And here they are trying to tell us, and this is what the media does and shouts us down, that the Republicans are on the wrong side of this. We're done with it. We won't have any more of this, which is why it's unique that most people are sticking to their guns here. You don't have Republicans caving on this particular issue. I do have audio cut of the day still to come this afternoon.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 70 out of downtown fine. Little slow at Jennings Station Road. Then it opens up, and it doesn't slow again really till out at Wentzville. Still some volume 6440. Kings Highway out through McCausland. Eastbound is slow, approaching 170 through Big Bend. And then westbound, some moderate volume here and there through Chesterfield Valley. Slowing again, Highway N out through 70. Just moderate volume now. Southbound 270, Olive down through Manchester. And southbound 170 still slow at 64. Southbound 55 is slowing south of Broadway. And if you're headed into Illinois, we look fine. And no delays on the bridges downtown either. This report brought to you by the Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, let's talk about Banner Construction, a great company that's been here in St. Louis since 1993, and they can help you with brand new windows from Pella. Pella Replacement Windows, the best in the industry. Pella, celebrating 100 years in business. If you go to bannerconstruction.com, they have a lot of options up there for you. You'll see the About Us. You'll see the showcase. That offers pictures of projects that have taken place here in St. Louis. And then the blog. And on the blog, it's interesting because, look, you may be in a situation where you say, how am I going to pay for this, right? I want beautiful new windows in my home, but they're not cheap, right? How am I going to pay for James Hardy fiber cement siding? On that website at bannerconstruction.com, you click on the blog, you will see a featured post that talks about financing options for home remodeling projects. They'll give you a comprehensive guide to how you might be able to pull this off if you're hitting a wall and trying to figure that out. You get the team over for a free in-home design consultation. They will work their magic, and you're off and running. Now, they're big projects. That's why you got to plan ahead and sit down as soon as possible. Banner Construction, the website, bannerconstruction.com, the phone number, 314-569-1050.
Join us October 23rd at Lit Cigar Lounge and celebrate 25 years with drinks from Lore Wine and Spirits, Old Dominic Distillery, and Rayburn Wines, plus live music by Pretty Weeds and food from Napoli Bros. Reservations at 971talk.com. Presented by Rhino Shield and U.S. Men's Medical Center.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more.
A family member or friend that gets paid weekly. This Medicaid program is available to eligible St. Louis residents.
New to Medicaid? The Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area,
this service is available through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid weekly. So go to freedomcare.com now, or for faster service, call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
This is Todd Krenz with Krenz Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. We work closely with professionals in healthcare, from doctors and nurses to medical sales in biotech and pharma. Our team helps you navigate complex financial decisions like retirement plans, disability insurance, consolidating old 401ks, and understanding stock options or RSUs. We make the process clear so you can focus on what you do best. Your goals, our mission. Start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Member FINRA/SIPC. Krenz Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
I hear from sellers all the time that they fear they have missed out on the selling market. They are so relieved to learn September, October, and November are strong selling months. With low inventory and hopefully lower interest rates, this fall will be a hot one for real estate. I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. You may have heard me say, why pay more than 4 for years? Now it's why pay more than 2, saving you even more money. Call me 314-441-4444. And remember, why pay more than 2?
Straight Realty is a licensed broker in the state of Missouri, Kansas, and Nevada.
Sponsored by Progressive. We make the claims process easy so you could get back on the road in no time. It's why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive. See for yourself at progressive.com.
Fast-paced, fact-based, and never boring. This is the Mark Reardon Show.
I have a couple of things that I have highlighted for Audio Cut of the Day, but there was, in my great producing team, Fred and Ethan. Of course, when we say Fred, you got to hear Kenny.
How about old Fred Bottenheimer over there, ladies and gentlemen?
They do a great job. You know, Fred does all the audio, and Ethan as well. I send clips throughout the day, and I had him pull this one because I saw Sam Ponder, former ESPN star, talking about this, and she lives in New York. She's been, Sue, one of the rare female, well, I would say one of the rare members of the media that's gone out there on a ledge on the trans sport issue and has been on Riley Gaines' side, Michelle Tafoya. She's been very outspoken. Of course, you know, she did that after she left ESPN, but she lives in Manhattan, and she has a daughter, and she goes to a basketball game where her middle school daughter is guarding an obviously naturally born male in a girls' tournament. And there's parents around her that are cheering while this boy is completely dominant against the girl, and guess who loses?
Yeah, let me guess.
The all-girls team lost, right?
There is no way that in this country, especially in sports, you shouldn't be able to say on your own social media accounts, I don't think men should be in women's sports. Yeah. This is something, I talk to athletes all the time. 99.9% of professional athletes, like, we know this is ridiculous. And the fact that we haven't been able to say it boldly, but with kindness and some humility, is insane. It is insane that we've gotten to this point in sports that we can't just be honest about what's true and not be a jerk about it, but just say, yeah, you're not putting a male in my daughter's locker room. It's not happening.
By the way, Sam Ponder was very empathetic in some of the things she says. She said, this poor child, she's not talking about her children. She's talking about the trans kid. This poor child has been emotionally and mentally abused into thinking there was something wrong with his body. He is the victim, not the bully. So that's an interesting, and I think it's the parents. The parents here are the ones that's involved. But I cannot envision a situation. My daughter plays volleyball, and she's playing soccer right now. She's played other sports. I can't imagine going to one of these volleyball games and cheering her team on, facing, or even let's say that they have the trans kid on her team, that I could be sitting there cheering for the trans kid, knowing that that kid is completely physically dominant over the opposing team and fellow players.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. And it's so sad, and I don't know, I'm hoping. I've talked to, we've talked to folks about this, even Riley Gaines. We need more A-list current athletes to stand up and say something about this. It can't be people who have been retired. There have to be people who come to the forefront in a more vocal manner to say enough is enough. And why they're so afraid of it, I don't get, because 90% of the country is on their side. And they still don't have the guts to do it, unfortunately. All right, let's do this here.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
All right, well, this whole East Wing renovation story has gotten out of control. Like, here's Joe Scarborough.
It's hard to believe that any president could destroy the White House.
You can't help but wonder if he didn't wait until these protests were already done before today he started literally physically tearing down the White House.
Previously said that the ballroom's construction would not affect the existing building here. Clearly not the case.
Yeah, first of all, lies. He's not tearing down the White House. Never was. Never will. Took down a portion of the East Wing, which is going to be renovated into a ballroom. and zero taxpayer dollars will pay for this.
The White House is going to have a big, beautiful ballroom for generations of Americans to come. And the best part of it all, it's not a dime of the taxpayers' money.
We're building a world-class ballroom. You know, for 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom here. We don't have a ballroom. We have a little cocktail area, but we don't have a ballroom. The East Room, it's called, is a very small cocktail area. It holds about 88 people if it's tight. And I said, if I do this again, I'm going to get a ballroom built, and we're putting up our own money. With the government is paying for nothing. You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it, Josh. I think when I hear that sound, it reminds me of money. In this case, it reminds me of lack of money because I'm paying for it, so it's the opposite.
Now, I don't disagree that the media has an appropriate role in all this, saying, okay, where did the money come
Right,
from?
okay, that's
Maybe
fair.
there's some accounting here, but the way that they have lost their minds in not only the legacy media, but some people that I'm still friends with on Facebook that have always lost their minds over Trump and have really severe cases of Trump derangement syndrome. If you know someone like this, or if you are someone like this, please seek help immediately. I don't know that there's ample help out there for you, ample help, because people, Sue, I'll never understand the psychology of this. I've been around politics all my life. I've hated politicians. I've liked politicians. I've never, and I don't think it's very healthy to be that obsessed about someone that really is having very little,
I know,
little effect on your life. And if he is having an effect on your life, it's because your 401k is up, because look at the damn stock market right now.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We still have some volume westbound 6440 Hampton out through McCausland, eastbound slowing at Big Bend, and southbound 55 slow at your friend Bates.
There it is.
On the
And I'll have to go past that because I'm going to Ronnie's for a movie screening tonight.
All right. Yeah. And then on the Illinois side, we've got some volume eastbound 64 as you approach Highway 50, and that is all due to road work over there. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Barron Mirror Glass and Door has the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis. It's full of the latest, most custom designs. It's right there in Chesterfield Valley, and there you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You know what I'm most excited about tonight going to this movie?
No.
Having popcorn for dinner.
Oh, I love popcorn for
Basically
dinner.
going to be my dinner tonight.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm so looking forward to it. All right, I referenced the stock market. It was not the best day today. The market ebbs and flows. It was down 334 points, but we're still sitting at 46,590. But I want to guide you into some help here, because as you get closer to retirement, Thomas Helbig and the team from the Retirement Advisory Group can teach you some strategies to make sure that you lock in your gains, that you don't lose your principal moving forward. This is an important strategy, and it's different than what the brokerage houses that you might be familiar with will offer. And maybe it's not for you. Maybe it is, though. You won't know until you have a connection and you meet Thomas and the team. We do 5 seminars a year. We won't have another one of those until after the first of the year, but that makes it a perfect opportunity for you to go to retirementkey.com. You can click on a tab. You can register and go in one-on-one. You'll get a free copy of their latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Get started today. Don't put it off. You have to know what retirement is going to involve and how much money you're going to have and how long it'll last. retirementkey.com.
Celebrate the spooky season with zero res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. You can take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleanings. Book online at